Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Pull Up Tray, but doing it a different way. I'm Samson. I don't even have to. I don't even think this goes up as a podcast, honestly, because it doesn't matter that much. Nobody wants the current coverage of the trade deadline. You want post deadline coverage for post deadline. You want current deadline coverage for current deadline. Yeah, we get it. I'm Samson Folk. We're going through Trayce Jackson Davis film today. We'll be watching his short role playmaking, some of the finishing questions that I have, and some of the defensive stuff I was looking at. The offensive rebounding, I think, is a good aspect of his game, but I don't really want to watch offensive rebounding tape with you guys. So we have a decent amount to talk about, especially in terms of film. But for anybody who's just catching up, the Raptors traded Ochai Agbaji to the Brooklyn Nets in a salary dumping move, which got them under the tax. They traded a 2032 second round pick from themselves and then got back not Chris Paul, who was not required to report, which means, listen, he's probably he's probably done. He's not coming to hang out in Toronto. That's my expectation. Then they traded another second round pick from the Lakers of this year, 2026, for Trayce Jackson Davis of the Golden State Warriors. Trayce Jackson Davis is a pretty, he's an interesting big man. And I'll say he would be far more interesting to me if the Raptors didn't already have Colin Murray Boyles, because there are some redundancies in these two guys' games. Although I think Colin Murray Boyles obviously is the ninth overall pick, and being a monstrous demon on the defensive end, there is quite a bit of difference. I'll get into the film on why they're similar and why, like, Trayce is a little bit better of a finisher at this point. But also, it's important to note that Trayce is very nearly 26 years old. The idea of, development and all that kind of stuff, probably not a big deal here. What I am wondering off the top with this Trayce decision trade is are we looking at a guy who is a little bit of, let's say, Mamu security blanket? Because there's no guarantee whatsoever that Mamu is going to be on the team next year, and Trayce has a team option. If they like him down the stretch, then they probably guarantee that. They shore up part of I guess the front court, which the front court needs bolstering. I don't know exactly what's going to happen with Jakob Poeltl. I'm seeing everything in the chat. I'll respond to some of this right away. To the point of Trayce Jackson Davis being 6'9", I had a tweet about this, just quickly summing up my thoughts. Pensair Basketball responded and said he had done a bit of research that he is probably taller than 6'9". Mike Dunleavy said that he grew an inch, so maybe he's 6'10". He's listed everywhere at 6'9", but this stuff can change. They don't really update it. Does that make anybody feel different about him? I still do view him as an undersized big. And we'll get into some of the stuff. Like, his rookie year was really quite strong, especially for where he was drafted. I do think some of that was being able to play next to Chris Paul, Steph Curry, more Steph Curry than anyone else, and Klay Thompson. It opened up avenues for his finishing to be like a 70% shooter that year that I think are definitely not viable on this Raptors squad, and maybe not on really any squads around the league. That would be my expectation. Trayce Jackson Davis. Okay, I'll give you guys some of the numbers. Or actually, first I'll respond from Shun8733 says, "Bro, we could have gotten AO. Timberwolves traded a player that gets no minutes and all second-round picks for a player that is shooting 45% from three, 50% from the field." I like AO. I think he's a very strong backup guard. Beyond that, I don't... Actually, here's the thing. Here's the thing to talk about. The Raptors are a terrible shooting team. They're a team that still does score a lot in the paint. They're a team that has on the roster Jakob Poeltl, Scotty Barnes, Colin Murray Boyles, and they're trying to trade for like a big man. And they have Mamu. It does kind of put into question, like, hey, why are we looking for a big? Because apparently, like, Darko says, hey, our trade deadline acquisition is going to be Jakob Poeltl, which, listen, spin is spin. I get it. If Jakob comes back healthy, which I don't know, it is hard to look at the front court and say, well, why were we trading for that? And I get people who wanted Sabonis. Obviously, Jakob's going out the other door. So it's a whole, you're reforming the front court. However, Raps VE says, team needs creation and shooting, and we pick up a 6'9" big who can't shoot or finish layups. I get it, man. He has no jumper to speak of. I'm going to finish up this thought, and then we'll get into, I guess, some of the film on Trayce. There are some things to like with him. So the Raptors, I think, are like 14-3 or 14-4, maybe even 15-3, when Grady Dick scores over 10 points per game. This isn't to say that Grady is like that level of player or something like that. It's to say that the Raptors have built a team that it hinges upon shooting from a bunch of different places, because they built a team that they paid Jakob Poeltl, they paid Scotty Barnes, they paid RJ Barrett, they paid Brandon Ingram, and Brandon Ingram's only getting up 4.5 threes a game, quickly fits in otherwise. Their two best shooters, I think, for the money is Quickly and Brandon Ingram. And these guys can't get up enough volume to justify being like the shooters on the team. There's just not enough threes going up. So they enter every single game in like a bit of a math problem, let's say. They do a really good job mining advantages where they can, but they need three-point shooting, bona fide three-point shooting. That's why when Grady in wins shoots like 36, 37% from three, he plays minutes, he scores the ball well, he's over 50% from the field. They need that scoring. And even Jacoby Walter, a lot of times it's like he's being defended a little bit differently. And so if he goes up, it's really helpful. They need scoring. They need shooting from somewhere else. We've gotten into this in the past. Getting a guy like Ayo, I actually don't know how it's said. My apologies. Getting a guy like that, does that change fundamentally the shooting on the roster? I don't think so. His shooting is like good enough for his role, but would it change the way that the Raptors play? Would he be the missing piece? I don't know. Could you go a little bit even less? I guess, what would it be? Adventurous, and go for a guy like Vit Krejci. Vit Krejci is a pretty good shooter to my mind. He can shoot off of movement. He can hit standstill. He has size. He's more functional defensively, I would say, than Grady is. Could they have gone for somebody like that? Yeah, probably. Why they decided not to is probably a larger conversation about team building and their, let's say, confidence factor in this team. They probably, if I had to guess, want to remake this roster in the summer after they get a look at their stars and their starters and stars in a playoff context. And so they probably, I understand they're talking about Sabonis, they're in on all this kind of stuff, but unless they had a great trade available to them, a steal, it's pretty easy to see why we're not seeing a Raptors team that wants to change drastically at the deadline, that wants to bolster this team. Despite them being the 4th seed and getting up to the 3rd seed like 2 weeks ago, they are already dropped into 6th as of right now. So they were never that good. They're better than consensus thought. I think I predicted 43 or 44 wins at the start of the season. They'll probably clear that. But I was 10 wins above like what Vegas had them at, right? So they want to just walk this out, see what happens, bring themselves into the fold with playoff tape, playoff reps, work from there, see what's happening with the roster in the summer. That's my guess. And beyond that, does Vit Krejci help this season? Probably a bunch. Does a guy like Ayo, who, thank you for the correction on the spelling bazooka, does Ayo help a bunch this season? Yes. Do either of these guys swing this team from a first round out to like a second round really competitive? I don't know. And that's probably the value judgment that the Raptors are making, if I had to guess. So they go in like, and they built a team where shooting is going to be a weakness. And the thing that unlocks this weakness from the rest of the roster probably is like a true, it's not going to be done through role players. Of course, it would be helpful if Grady could hit threes. He's been terrible shooting the ball this year. Of course, that would be helpful. If anybody shot over 37%, that would be great. But that's not the world we live in. And the Raptors probably, to unring this bell of team development where they can't shoot the ball, you probably need like a real gunslinger, a guy who can pull and does often. And while Quickly has the efficiency necessary, he doesn't have the volume necessary to be the salve to fix this. Okay, that's why I think about trading for a shooter. Would I have personally been excited at like getting a Trayce or somebody like that? Yeah, I would have liked it. It would have been cool to see something like that, and they would have played better basketball down the stretch. And Weback says we need Malik Beasley to clear the investigation. Yeah. And beyond that, I've said beyond that like 4 times. I won't say beyond that again in this podcast. Or this live stream. Trayce Jackson-Davis. Or actually, the last thought. The Raptors are giving this last bit of runway to Grady. And he's on he has a guaranteed contract for next season, but there's no guarantee that he has minutes next season. So my estimation is that they're giving this little bit of runway to Grady so that they can still have a chance at a perceived upside from that position. He's still pretty young. He just turned 22. Okay, Trayce Jackson-Davis. The Raptors trade a second-round pick for him. That means that in this trade deadline, 2 second-rounders are going out. No picks are coming in, at least so far. Okay, in his rookie season, Trayce Jackson-Davis, he plays like 16.6 minutes per game. He plays almost the full season, 68 games, shoots 70% from the field. Excellent. 7.9 points per game, 5 rebounds, 1.2 assists, 1 block per game. The big thing that he did in his rookie season is pretty good feet for his size. He's excellent at tracking motion as a help side rim protector. He's pretty good at matching steps and meeting guys at the top. And also his finishing was a huge plus. Now, I was a little bit skeptical of the finishing because so much of that finishing is just like a lot easier when you play with guys who draw a bunch of attention. And I'm using Colin Murray-Boyles as a proxy for this. Colin Murray-Boyles is shooting, like 65%? I think Synergy has him at 65% from the rim this season. I don't think Colin would be shooting 65% if he was not taking, he passes out. He could make some of the shots he passes out of, but he passes out because he doesn't feel the confidence. He feels like a little small. He feels like he can't get up over it, whatever it is. And so as a result, he's taking more of the sure shots. You know what I mean? He's taking more of the sure shots. And so he's a 65% shooter at the rim. If he was playing like unbridled or unburdened, I don't think it would be 65%. I think it would be worse. Trayce Jackson-Davis is a guy who came into the league and got fed, I think, really great looks at the rim. And that's why he was shooting 70% from the field. Now, this year he's shooting, and he dunks most of the time. He is a prominent dunker for what it's worth, but this year he's shooting 44% on layups per Synergy. Last year it was 43%. His rookie year was 55%, and he had a lot of dunks. Everything is at the rim for Trayce Jackson-Davis. 76% at the rim his rookie season. Again, though, I will say, you look at 76% in his rookie year, Steph, Clay, Chris Paul, that starts to make a little bit more sense. And in the years past, it's more like 66, 65%. So that's just to be mindful of. We'll look at some of the finishing plays here, and we'll get into defense. We'll get into his passing. He is a pretty slick player, but he does run into, not entirely similar to CMB because he is a better finisher, and he does he's bigger, obviously, and he has, an okay leaping ability, but he does run into, if there's a big at the rim, and especially with the layups, sometimes he's going to have trouble navigating these situations as a finisher. And whether it's, Anthony Davis is one thing and Danny Wolf is another, though. Desmond Bane is another. He is a guy who is going to be put in situations where he has to finish. And the Raptors are desperate for that type of player. It's why Jakob Poeltl is, man, he is so needed on this roster because even though CMB is efficient, like on the year, he's pretty damn efficient. The Raptors don't need efficiency necessarily, and they don't need a slick passer from the short roll. They don't even have the shooters to make the short roll passing and playmaking work, right? So when the Raptors are in the short roll, and if it's CMB, they leave these situations for their other players. And it has to be like a cut from the baseline and an ability to create something because the finishing isn't going to be something that CMB brings like at a high level. This play here will just, as an example, like you can see the Warriors actually run, I mean, the Warriors run a ton of similar plays to the Raptors. Like if you watch the Raptors closely, or even with like a somewhat meaningful eye, you're going to see that they're running through so much of the same delay stuff that the Raptors run. And so why the Raptors traded for TJD, I would assume because he's such an easy fit. He really is. He'll come in and do all this kind of stuff for the Raptors, like set a screen, be aware of where the ball is, come get the ball, set screens, roll, try and make plays. And he is like a pretty slick delay action decision maker. He is a guy who is able to, I think, make quick decisions in odd man situations. He's a guy who's able to, yes, go up and get a lob on occasion. And more than anything, he will allow the Raptors to progress through reads. And so I think that there is, of course, really, there's some nice plays here where he's catching lobs. I am not buying the 75% at rim finishing. When I look at the film, what I am buying is probably 65, 66%, and a little bit of trepidation on occasion, right? So we can go to some of his playmaking here, and you can see like he's just running through delay, 5-out offense. The Raptors are going to be doing this, and it's like, yep, a keeper, a flip, setting a screen, try and match pace. That's all he's doing. This is probably why the Raptors thought like, okay, this guy, probably interesting to see what we have and see if he can fit into what we want to do. Another important thing. Okay, so, I guess a trade happened. We'll talk about that right away. This kind of stuff, who's the low man here, right? Very small guy, but still going to these types of finishes. It is a slick pass, and CMB makes passes like this too. I don't like it. I don't like it. I like when the big man catches and keeps and finishes with composure. I think that is a huge feature of like Jakob's game, is that you don't put it on the guards and wings to cut into the paint, catch, and finish. You don't make it like Gary Payton's job. You don't make it Jacoby Walters or Jamal Shed's or Grady Dick's job. You just go finish. You're the big guy. I love that aspect of Jakob Poeltl's game. And obviously, you're seeing this short roll passing, these little duck-ins and laydowns that, Trayce Jackson-Davis, which it's a good processing of the floor, yes, but I do think we'll see some of the limitations of the offense when CMB is out there and isn't willing to take it up. I also think that we're going to see some of those limitations show up with Trayce Jackson-Davis, although he does deserve a lot of credit for being a guy who can read the floor and quickly process, passing reads and things of that ilk. He is also a guy who's going to be able to be a bring-up ball handler. I don't know how often the Raptors are going to want to do that. I mean, the Warriors, sometimes they let him, sometimes they don't, but he is largely a guy who can grab and go. If you feel like you want to give him the license to do so, he can grab and go, and he can like spray the ball as a bring-up ball handler. He is a unique playmaker in that way, and this is something that even Josh, when he was in Indiana, was, tweeting out his little tweets and saying like, this is an interesting pass from Trayce Jackson-Davis, and now he's in the league and doing his thing. So I think offensively, he's going to fit into what the Raptors want to do. It'll be pretty easy. It'll be pretty seamless, but I don't think it navigates any of their limitations. I think it's just more so. I think it's very similar to CMB with a little bit. I would say a little bit more upside as like catching lobs, a little bit more upside as a finisher. Uh, but obviously none of that same level of potential. He's 5 years older than CMB, obviously has a lot more games under his belt, and no jump shot to speak of. CMB didn't have much of a jump shot, but he was a strong mid-range shooter in college. He's trying it a little bit from 3-point at, the NBA level, but TJD has never attempted really anything. It's just never been a part of his game. So he's a better screener than CMB as well. Like he actually plants screens as opposed to the hot stove push off screen. We'll see how this manifests. I wonder how he'll develop chemistry, but we'll see. We'll see. So much for getting Day'Ron Sharpe. Yeah, probably not. But I think the asking prices for these guys were like even Goga, I believe they were asking for a first rounder for Goga. So, I mean, like we'll see. That's pretty absurd. He's their third string center. Like Mo Wagner came back and they stopped playing Goga as much. Your third string center, you want a first round pick for. Your third string center. What? I mean, come on. Anyway, it's just a lot. And I know like the Raptors have been famous for asking for a lot, but in trades in the past, but I'm not the Raptors. I'm just some guy talking shop. Chrysalis says, do you think Darko will actually play Trayce Jackson-Davis? I kind of hope he does, so we use less Scotty CMB on bigs so they can guard more wings/forwards. I do think that he will get play. If only for the reason that you see, because there's, it's kind of the thing, like Caitlin and I talked about this in our Pacers coverage. You can't get away from the human aspect of the game. TJ McConnell, he's a blur when he plays. He cannot play like 35 minutes a night. He probably can't even play like starter minutes at his pace the way he wants to. Giannis Antetokounmpo, a conversation I had with Matt Moore on, after the Raptors won the championship, we were talking about like, why doesn't Giannis do this? Like his skill set is so good for X and Y. It's like, he doesn't want to. There's always this human overlay in what players are doing. You can't plug them in and ask them to do anything. And when it comes to Scotty and CMB, they are capable. They fight and die. They battle like hell, and they're both really great at it. The Raptors have been able to survive without a big man and have a top 10 defense and just like make it work because these guys are so talented and capable. But again, there is this human aspect of like, you see the physicality of constantly battling and fighting with bigger men. You see it pick up. You can see these guys, they're picking up nicks, they're picking up little things. It's tough to contend that way. And I think that post All-Star break, having Trayce come in, take some of those minutes, and he is a battler. Trayce he's a garbage man. He'll bring the ruckus. He deserves credit for that. It should, even if it makes it so that maybe CMB doesn't score as many points, it probably will be easier on his body as he navigates the second half of the season. And on top of that, Chrysalis says, I swear CMB holds his hand once a game, wincing in pain. Yep, same with Scotty. And Scotty, while there's definitely, I don't think it benefits Scotty at all to guard bigs. CMB, it benefits him because it means that he'll have room to work on the offensive end and he can kind of navigate it all. Scotty playing the front court, playing center, he's just doing the Raptors a favor. And that's what you do when you play for a team. You give it your all. But I don't see any of the upside for Scotty guarding centers. It's like he's become a very strong player elsewhere. He doesn't have to navigate shortcomings or weaknesses by being put on a center or anything like that. So anyway, that's where we're at. Okay, defensive tape for Trayce Jackson-Davis. As I mentioned before, like he is pretty strong at timing up blocks, and he has good feet. Like he's always navigating space, and he collects his feet well. He jumps into space really well. We'll see some of that in his pick and roll coverage, but you can see he's not like an elite mover, but I consider him a pretty strong mover. He's a guy who he gets around the court pretty well, collects himself pretty well. He's pretty coordinated. He is not all the way explosive, but he definitely has some pop. And so navigating the court as a guy at 6'9", 6'10", and with leaping ability is going to put you in a decent spot some of the time. So the Warriors put him in a lot of drop coverage. Oh wait, I'm playing the wrong clip. The Warriors put him in a lot of drop coverage. And why that is, I'm not exactly sure, because his feet are probably good enough to hang and switch more often, but maybe they just, some teams play certain schemes and coverages. But I think he is generally pretty great at absorbing drives. We're going to see one here from J-Dub, and J-Dub gets downhill, and it's Trayce navigating that middle ground, poking, stunting, getting the rebound, and like, maybe if J-Dub was a little bit more decisive there, he's able to score easier. But it's that like he's playing the 2-on-1, the cat and mouse game, and he's kind of making sure he's in the spot. And this too, like, he absorbs Keontae's screen reject. Look at him flip his hips at the last second to get flat. You know what I mean? And he absorbs this drive perfectly and puts Keontae in a bad situation. And you get to go, even this one, Shea, right? Shea gets around the screen, flips the hips, gets sideways, tracks. Shea is probably looking for a bump if it's a slower big. If this is a worse big, they probably don't get their feet correctly. They're probably not able to absorb, and then tracks them and blocks it. Like, this isn't special movement, but this is good movement from your big. This is just good defense. I think Trayce will fit in quite nicely as a defender. Now, there is some of the stuff that was happening with the Warriors just playing him in drop. I don't know what the Raptors' plan will be for him, but there was kind of this like contain, contest thing that he used to do on the Warriors. And like it did put him in situations where like some threes went up. I think the Raptors would probably be pretty comfortable with this coverage. But again, I do think his feet are good enough that he can navigate some of these situations with a bit more aggression. And I wonder if the Raptors might see that as a possible avenue for, for how they want to play defensively. But I do think there's a lot of positives here. And he is a guy who, he moves well enough, he tracks well enough. And I have to be honest, like, yeah, I know it's my job to analyze the game and all that kind of stuff. I don't know if I've seen enough of him like in the gaps, stunting, digging, this kind of stuff to say whether or not he's good at it. He has a really strong block percentage, but his steal percentage is nothing to write home about. Maybe that's an indicator. I don't think his hands are that good. So, and usually hands is, steals, certain types of things like that. But yeah, that's Trayce Jackson-Davis. That's some film, and listen, it's not everything, but that's a decent look at what I think he'll be doing with the Raptors and how he'll be able to provide a little bit of help. What did Shaq Lindsay say? Shaq Lindsay says Trayce is a lob threat, plus he's relentless on defense. He is partially a lob threat, I think. Yep. He can definitely go up and get a lob. And then you say Trayce fits a role, and that's all we need. Save our first for something substantial to put us over the top and not over the tax. I agree with you here. Do not give a first for Goga, for Missy, for Dayron. If any team is trying to get a first out of you for their backup center, don't do it. BD Caver says, I don't really see how Trayce fits more than Mo Bamba. Well, Trayce is just way better mover. Way better mover. Mo does not navigate the court nearly as well as Trayce. He doesn't process offensive sets like being a delay hub or playing off the elbow as well as Trayce does. And I think that's just like the big thing is that that's the big difference between Bamba. Bamba obviously is a better shooter. Bamba obviously is a bigger player, but he's not been able to convert his size into meaningful impact. I think there's a decent amount of difference in how Trayce and Mo play. And there's a reason why the Raptors went after a guy like Trayce. So Champagne Bapu says, do you think TJD is on par with like Missy, Batase, or better? He's probably, I don't think he's as good as Batase. Batase is like, he's a quality backup big. He really is. I don't even know if I think Mo Wagner is better than Batase, but Batase is a quality backup big. He comes with obviously significant limitations in how you want to scheme and what you do offensively, but what backup big doesn't. If you can do everything, you're going to be a starting big in the NBA. He's probably, I think he's probably a bit better than Missy currently. I think he's better than Missy currently, but I don't think when Missy is like 25, almost 26, Missy will be better than what Trayce is right now. But that's kind of what I'm thinking. The team is holding RJ out tonight's game. That's interesting. I don't know what I have to say about that. That's notable in some sense. Is there, wait, let me go look around on Twitter. Is there anything attached to that statement of RJ Barrett? I guess, what is it, Blake who tweeted about it? Wait, someone joined. Who joined? Trader Joe. Here's our boy. Lewis Zatsman is in the house. Zolfi says official listing for RJ is injury management. Does that pass a sniff test for you, Lewis?
Yes and no. It passes the sniff test in that I don't think his injury looks particularly managed. Watching him on the floor. Last night was the first half where I thought he was a little poppier on the drive. His legs were a little more explosive in the first half, but it was pretty much gone by the second. It just hasn't looked like his legs haven't looked explosive or right until that coming back. And then to look less explosive in the second half, yeah, I think it does need management. That being said, pretty funny time to manage that injury, right?
I agreed, yeah. But I think you hit the nail on the head here, is that the injury, he's just hit the burst on his last step isn't the same. The burst on his first step isn't the same. He's a lot more limited in his movement. But RJ he attempts to be kind of like an Iron Man. He really he plays through a lot of stuff during a season. Yeah. He is pretty hardy as a player. And yeah, I want to get your thoughts on Trayce Jackson-Davis. I just did the big film portion. So if you're talking about anything, I can feel free to pull it up. Giovanni says, is Trayce Jackson really better than Mo Bamba? I think like 4 minutes ago, I talked about this. Yes, I think by some measure. But the floor is yours. Actually, wait, before you do that, can you give me your thoughts on Ochai leaving? Because I actually haven't touched it at all yet.
Yeah. It's a shame. Ochai was a part of the culture. He was close with guys. I mean, I understand the business of it. You want to get under the luxury tax. It saves you a lot of money. But if all you're doing with that is just, cool, we saved a couple bucks, it's like, that kind of sucks, Like, yeah, he was having a real letdown of a season.
Shocker.
Compared to last year, he was shooting basically nil from 3-point range. His defense, as you were ahead of the curve on, always looked better than it was. He was a little sticky, and he took Toronto's best defensive assignments, but he was never a stopper. But he helped. He was an athlete. He took big assignments. That's a thing that the Raptors just haven't had other guys do for stretches. He cuts well. I mean, he's handsome. He dunks. He's probably was the best dunker on the team, in-game dunker. Like, he was part of the culture, part of the fabric of the team. And to see someone get traded just for a couple bucks for the owner, it's like, what's there really to be excited about there? I wish he had maintained his performance from last season. And if he had, he probably would have got traded earlier and for more.
So that's kind of the interesting thing By the way, Champagne Bapu says, "Hey Samson, I'm wearing the same toque today." Hell yeah, dude! Twins, lock in, rock on. So the big thing with Ochai is that shooting 18% from three when shooting is supposed to be a large feature of your game, just not survivable. And Grady, when he is in year four, if it's 30% still and he doesn't turn things around, it won't be survivable either.
Yeah.
And when it's supposed to be, a huge feature of your game, you just have to. It's beyond the pale to shoot 18%, quite frankly. I don't know how many people have gone from 40, because he was at 39.9% last season on okay volume. And you and I discussed, like,
Mm-hmm.
hey, who's taking the easiest shots on the floor?
Mm-hmm.
It's Ochai. But as you covered during last season, his shot diet did get more difficult over the course of the season. And some things held. Those uphill dribble handoffs into a jump shot, he would make those on
Yep.
occasion above the break. Those are important shots, and his cuts are important. But dropping from 40% to 18% is just like, how do you even make sense of that, one? And then two, what do you make of, let's say, because I know it's partially why people want to listen to this podcast or any podcast, to hear us whinge about asset management. They traded a first for him that became, well, for he and Kelly Olynyk, and then technically Kelly became Brandon Ingram. So if you have sour grapes, maybe that makes them taste sweeter. But they trade the 28th pick, I believe, and it was Isaiah Collier, who just had 22 assists in a game the other day against the husk of the Pacers, who were sitting, I think, 8 players who were in their finals rotation. And then they have to trade a second to get off of him because of tax concerns. What do you make of you had this great piece you wrote? I don't remember the exact date, but the elephant's trunk, a rope. What is it now? What has it always been? Looking upon the Raptors' decision making, do you have any clarity on like what they've been doing from a team? Do you want to whinge, complain with me?
Obviously it's not great, but I don't think it's a disaster. Teams do things like that. It's pretty normal to trade a really late first round pick for a swing on a guy that doesn't turn out. That being said, the best teams don't really do that. So it's normal and negative. And I agree with you. There's a thing that you see a lot in today's, the analysis of today's game, which is team building's a lot easier when you know what you're building towards and you know what you're building around. Scotty Barnes has become that. But I think what he is most valuable as in terms of front office building is not telling you what to build your team around, but matching whatever decision you take, right? If you want to build your team as an offensive juggernaut, I think his passing next to like a scoring guard would really catalyze that. If you want to make it a defensive juggernaut, which they have, I don't even need to explain that. It's pretty clear. He does whatever you need. You want him to be a forward, a guard. You want him to be a wing. You can, if you have shooting forwards, he does a lot. He's malleable. But it seems to me like the Raptors aren't entirely clear what they want the team to look like, what they want the team to build towards, right? A lot of the NBA is, are you defining the zeitgeist? Are you building towards 2030? Or are you catching up with what the last championship looked like, the one before that? And when you look at things like the Ochai Agbaji, the front and back, the bookends of the deals, what it seems to me is the Raptors are still searching. They don't have answers to those questions, which is normal. Most teams don't, but you wish they did.
Yep. Giovanni here says there's a recurring pattern of acquiring players like Kem and spending assets to get off of, giving up a first for Thad to have him badmouth you on the way out, and Ochai. So it seemed like the Raptors had reclaimed this savvy front office aura or reputation when they got Davion Mitchell, took Davion Mitchell on for 2 seconds and then traded him later for 2 seconds. He's worth 4 second-round picks, which basically is what Anthony Davis just went for, an Oklahoma City first-rounder and a top 20 protected Warriors. Can I just say, I think maybe the Raptors should have got in on that. But I guess Dallas probably was like, listen, we'll take shitey picks, but we don't want that Jakob Poeltl contract. I would assume that was the holdup. But I do like it's the Raptors don't have any home runs. The Raptors don't have any home runs. And that's tough because even Scotty's definitely earning that max contract, but he isn't the level of like first team All NBA, surefire at least second team All NBA player who kind of puts their rookie scale max contract to shame. Hip Hop Jesus says BI is not a home run. I don't think Brandon Ingram is a home run because a lot of the concern with Brandon Ingram, and Brandon Ingram has done well. I was a fan of the trade when it happened, but Brandon Ingram, it's what Rich Paul said. Rich Paul was quoted saying like, hey, I don't think he could have got this money anywhere else. So I manipulated and worked my way to get him to the Raptors. And Rich Paul just came out today and said that he told Darius Garland at the start of this year that he wasn't going to be a Cav next year. Like these things are in the works. The agents are very cognizant of what their players' values are. And Hip Hop Jesus says true, but he's been healthy all year and playing to his contract. No, relatively, yes.
Playing two,
which isn't a home run. Because like if Quickly was playing at 32.5, it would feel like a home run because he hasn't. But like playing 2-year contract isn't a home run in the same way I just said Scotty isn't a home run. Because Brandon could have been signed. Like he was an expiring contract, right? Like anyway, playing 2, not above. The Raptors just don't have a lot of that. Mamu, Jamal Shed, maybe. And I don't say this for people who think like, oh, you think these guys are better. It's everything's on a curve relative to what you're paid. It's a salary cap sport. Unfortunately, that's what it has to be. Anyway, Lewis, Jose Alvarado just went to the Knicks. That's kind of cool.
Yeah. It's funny. I was listening to you. I really liked your analysis of Trayce Jackson-Davis. Completely agree.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
About him. What I don't think, or what I didn't hear, and I think could be cool for us to chat about. Do you think the East has changed? Do you think the Raptors' position within it has changed?
Yeah. But not because of trades necessarily. I do think that Harden is far more dependable health-wise than Garland. And I also think that if like Harden has been of late, the past couple of years, been introducing more dynamism, and I know this sounds crazy for an aging player, but more dynamism of decision-making to his game, which I think is friendlier to a playoff situation than the fascism of his rim and 3 play used to be. Like it was just tough to navigate that, and he was not looking to go to his counters very often in the playoffs, and made him a very like live or die by something player. He'll probably be a better player in the very short term, and Garland probably by like in 2 years from now, the hope is that he's an unbelievable lead guard or something like that. But the Cavs, I would have picked them in a series against the Raptors before they traded for Harden. The Raptors, Trey and I just talked about that on the last episode, is like, who would you feel very comfortable about them playing against?
You said the Heat. You said just the Heat.
Yes. And I think I still feel the same way. Do you feel that the East has changed?
No, not vis-a-vis the Raptors. Mm-hmm. I think they beat the Magic too. They always play the Magic super tight. I think the Magic are so unfrightening for the Raptors.
But like, can I just go to bat for Desmond Bane and Jalen Suggs?
No, man, he is a rage monster.
Yes. And that's why they traded Ochai, was that he didn't meet him with enough spunk. He went there and he's like, hey, he should have grabbed him, Where's my money? We're going back to that. Yes.
4-2. Yeah, you can go to bat for Desmond Bane. He's good. I don't think he is enough I don't think the Magic.
Franz wasn't even there.
Nah, they're fine.
Franz is really good. Yeah, it matters. Like he's not quite as good as Scotty, but like imagine if the Raptors played the Magic without Scotty, we'd be like, well, this is pointless.
Regardless, They didn't change anything either. I think the teams that they could have beaten, they still can beat. The teams they probably won't beat, they still probably won't beat. The teams they can't beat, they still can't beat. So, and the other thing about that is Trayce Jackson-Davis doesn't change any of that.
Mm-hmm.
But neither does, in all likelihood, any of the deals on the table. If you can just swap Pirtle's contract and RJ Barrett for Sabonis, maybe that's possible.
I'm picking them out in the first round probably still if they go Sabonis for.
That's what I mean. That's where I was getting to.
Yeah.
It feels like the wiggle room within which the outcomes can be changed based on today is pretty narrow.
Agreed. Yeah. I'm not underwhelmed or disappointed by the process of this, or like who came in and who left. Now, is it ideal to lose 2 seconds, especially when everyone is just so like plumb happy about a guy like Jamal Shed, for example? He was a second round pick. Mm-hmm. And he was a second round pick that came via, let's say, slick GMing or presidenting, clever decision making, handsome piece of business, whatever it is. And those two go out to exchange Ochai for Trayce Jackson-Davis and to get under the cap. And I do also like it is. I hate the second round stuff. I hate getting under the cap stuff because on the one hand you say it only saves the company money, yes, but it also, since there are penalties and stipulations that come with being in the tax and being a repeater, it is actually important to get under it, which I think is unfortunate. I don't like the cap situation. Like the CBA and the cap situation in the NBA, I do not like right now.
It's made it too important to pay attention to the money. I would so prefer to know nothing about how much guys make.
Mm-hmm. It sucks, man. It's terrible. CJ McCollum. Oh.
Leave it to Blake. Blake can know all that stuff, man. I'll just ask him.
Well, yeah, I'm sure he will. Is there anything... Okay, so we've discussed Trayce Jackson-Davis, Ochai. We don't think that there was any wiggle room. Do you think that they're done? Do you think that the Raptors walk the rest of this next 2 hours and 12 minutes into holding hands, into the oblivion of post-trade deadline basketball?
I would guess, yeah. RJ Barrett clearly is on the table. They're trying to trade him. I mean, it seems like they've tried to trade Pirtle. They've been okay with trading quickly. My read on the league, and this isn't sourced, this is just reading the tea leaves, is that no one really wants that stuff. The Raptors want to trade from a position of strength. They're not in a position of strength. So let it go.
Arya Stark was walking around. She was homeless in King's Landing. She's trying to survive, and she asks, like, do you want she breaks a bird's neck and says, like, do you want I'll trade you this pigeon for this bread. And forgive my cursing, but like the guy running the shop is like, fuck off. Like, it's like, why? I don't want your dead pigeon, kid. I don't want your dead pigeon.
Yeah.
And the Raptors, it's exactly like you say, not trading from a point of strength. When Grievous Vasquez led the NBA in total assists, and then came to the Raptors and had the 3-point shot and the shimmy, and then he got traded for what ended up being a first-round pick that became OG Anunoby and a second-round pick that became Norman Powell, who in staggered years developed into very important players. I can't believe Norm is the all-star between those two. Crazy. And they just... When it's like you said, it's common to take a swing on like a second draft player, like an Ochai Agbaji, for example, with a late first. The Raptors, they used a middle first to get Kyle Lowry. They used a late first to turn Terrence Ross into Serge Ibaka. Like, these moves used to mean something.
Yeah.
And it's just been a while. It's just been a while.
Yeah, the swing, I mean, obviously it's different if you get a hit or not. Like, You know, the gap between Ochai Agbaji and Serge Ibaka in terms of what it means to the team, I mean, it's massive, obviously. You know, and we've even seen they could have traded from a position of strength with OG Anunoby, with Pascal Siakam, and they waited until the entire league saw them as like chum in the water. I think the wait and see mindset with either building up that core or tearing it down led to a pretty diminished return on all accounts. And obviously they traded that paperclip, you know, back into a paperclip, I guess, with Brandon Ingram. But that took its own sort of trade tree.
They weren't moving from a position of strength, and I think like the tough thing is that they didn't have the opportunity to lose a bunch and still be good, because they did. DeMar DeRozan is no paperclip, but he was traded along with Jakob for something of significant importance. And it's very rare that a finals MVP leaves for nothing. Very rare. I don't know if it has happened before. And the Raptors also, we just mentioned, like, they traded a pick for Ibaka and Terrence Ross. They did trade picks. They did go get Marc Gasol. And within 2 seasons, Serge Ibaka leaves, Marc Gasol leaves, Kawhi Leonard leaves, Danny Green leaves. All these guys leave, and the Raptors are getting nothing back. And so they're left with a team where, like, Norman Powell is there, who is now an all-star. Fred VanVleet would become an all-star. Pascal Siakam, Eastern Conference MVP, All-NBA, all-star. He's made 4 now. OG Anunoby, absolute linchpin on an ECF team. Really, really important. And they draft Scotty Barnes, by the way. Like, this is an incredible and incredibly important core. But then what happens is that they don't win any other decisions. They don't make any other home run trades, and they don't have picks to bolster these guys with or to trade and change the team up. And on top of that, all these guys developed in such a way and had limitations in such a way that they couldn't be more than the sum of their parts. So, yeah. Hip Hop Jesus says Scotty's only a double, though, remember? No, we're not doing the value thing. Don't get too hung up on it, man. Don't get too hung up on it.
And so we're left where we are, where I think it would behoove the Raptors not to make any jumbo trades right now. Because the thing about a guy's contract is it only matters a couple times ever. When a guy is just rolling out of bed, going to practice, going to game, who cares? A contract matters when you can sign a free agent, pretty rare. The Raptors can't do that anyway. When you're able to trade them, which isn't really an opportunity 90% of the time, you know, it's not a common, it's not a, it matters all the time. Like, let's take Quickly, for example. I think we can both agree he gets a little overpaid. Not crazy. It's not like a terrible, you know, awful franchise destroying contract, but he probably gets paid a little more money than other teams would value for his services. That doesn't matter most of the time. Sometimes it matters. Maybe today it mattered in that there were other trades that might have been available had Quickly been making $25 million a year instead of 32. Maybe not, though. And I think all this idea of contracts, just roll it over. You know, if you don't like his contract, if the league doesn't like his contract, cool, go to sleep tonight, wake up tomorrow, and you still have a point guard on your team, and you're still 6th in the East, and he can play, and hopefully that contract looks better later. Because it doesn't matter all the time. The basketball matters way more than the contracts.
So this Donkey16 says, sounds like you guys are advocating for a Mamu trade. His value is very high. Any contender could acquire him. I think he's unlikely to re-sign. Seems like a reasonable move if the price is right. And then Hip Hop Jesus said, should we sell high on some guys now then? Okay, so we weren't discussing a Mamu trade. I wasn't advocating for that. However, what do you think about the logic of that? I don't think they will resign him. I think it'll
I think they just won't be able to. That's an interesting question. I think that's a fun question. If you think you're a first round out,
Yes.
you probably still want to keep him because you got to go to the playoffs at some point. Scotty's got to get back there, see what it's like. Maybe it doesn't matter. I think it does, though. I think signaling to your team you're tearing down is not that good when you're trying to win. Finally, you want to get your guys some reps in games that matter. Now, if someone offers a first round pick, you just said, and here's to prove, Joseph, that I was listening. You said earlier you don't trade a first round pick for a third string big, which is kind of where his position is, where the Raptors healthy.
Even a second string big. Don't trade a first round pick for a second string big.
Right. If someone offers a first round pick, I think you kind of just have to go ahead and do that. I doubt that's on the table. If selling from a position of strength means all you get is like 3 seconds, 2 seconds, that's definitely not worth it.
Yeah, I think it would be a real shame considering they do want to play a meaningful round of basketball this year.
You'd rather have good basketball.
Getting 2 seconds or 3 seconds for Mamu after using 2 seconds to get Trayce Jackson-Davis and rid yourself of Ochai would be like, yo, what the hell are we doing here, dog? But if somebody, and I don't think they'd get offered a first, but if somebody offered a first, we go straight back to Coach Carter, man. There goes our highest scoring players from last year. Well, I guess we'll have new high scores then. You know what I mean? Donkey16 says, what about the Jay Crowder package, 5 second-round picks? That, to me, is basically what Anthony Davis just went for. The league has changed. The league has changed, and I hate it. Can I get your thoughts on Anthony Davis to the Wizards, or like what the Wizards are doing overall? It feels like they just stole the Raptors' playbook from last year, and then that's your go ahead.
That's what I was saying last night in the media room. They saw the Raptors trade for Ingram and be like, oh, that ankle, real shame it won't work for 41 years. And the Wizards were like, that's pretty interesting. You could really get a stew going if we did that twice. I think they're going to have another pick this year. Not a real nice, juicy, tasty pick. And then they can roll out Trae Young and Anthony Davis next year and be like, hey, this is pretty cool. I would be really excited if I was a Wizards fan. And look, maybe they're bad. Who knows? But I think they have a lot to look forward for. Watching losing basketball sucks. And they've been losing for a long, long time. I think I'm pretty excited about what the Wizards got cooking. Not from a Raptors point of view, because I think they're going to be right in the same position of battling for that, low home court seed. Cool. Nifty stuff that the Raptors are getting their style bit.
Nifty. Yosef says, going to work. Enjoy the pod. Have an awesome day. Enjoy work, Yosef. Also, I think Keyshawn George is awesome. Bilal Coulibaly is not quite as awesome, but he has a potential to be. And Alex Sarr is a real deal defender. The Wizards, that's a pretty fun team. I also need your thoughts on Jaren Jackson Jr.
Yeah. The league has, in some ways, innovated right into his lane, and in other ways passed him just so far by. Like, the possession stuff is so important, and he hurts you there. I feel like in 2019, 2020, a player like Jaren Jackson Jr. could really have helped you as a center. There's just a ton there. 2026, I don't know. The juice off the bounce and the shooting and the help side blocks are cool. But if you can't win the rebound battle with the guy as your center, that's almost death in today's NBA. Possessions matter so much. And it's funny. He's very, very good with real limitations. And I think it would take really specific team building to optimize him. I'm not certain of Lauri Markkanen. he's also very good with some comparable weaknesses and similar strengths. Who knows if they're additive? I'm really excited to find out. I think Scotty Barnes might be a way better partner, but I'm really excited to find out where the league goes. I think right now it feels like we're in a transition era to the future. The league seems like the last, I don't know, 2016 to 2022, 2023 was like maybe an era. It feels, I don't know where we're going. And I think guys like Jaren Jackson Jr. are on the cutting edge of maybe it'll veer off in this direction. Maybe they'll be carried on this crest of a wave to start. It's fun to find out with guys like him.
So as ND is pointing out, not JJJ at the 5, they're going super jumbo with Kessler, Markkanen, and JJ. I would love that. I love teams that are freaky as hell and go big. It's why the 76ers that the Raptors beat, you could argue was their toughest. It required the shot. That team with Harris and Simmons both underperforming, but still incredibly large next to Jimmy Butler, Joel Embiid, and JJ Redick was a freak-ass team that just squeezed the air out of the defensive side of the floor. And it took all-time like pull-up shooting from Kawhi Leonard to undo it. And, some really unique double big lineups, jumbo lineups from the Raptors with Serge Ibaka as well to undo it. And I love teams that try this kind of stuff. I thought the ultimate place for Jaren Jackson Jr. to land was Indiana. They already survived like a big man who couldn't rebound that well. And like, obviously Jaren is not the level of shooter that Miles is above the break, especially, but Jaren is one of the singular big man drivers in the NBA. And the idea of him catching hit aheads, him attacking not set defenses next year, I think would have been pretty nuts. I would have loved to see him go there, but Utah should be pretty interesting. I'm glad to see teams taking swings. You know what I mean? Like, you can clearly see that more teams are like, we've been sitting in the doldrums for too long. Let's get out of here and let's see what we're going to do going forward.
Tanking is a disgrace. Like, these teams, the Jazz, the Wizards, they've been trying to lose or just losing for so much longer than the Thunder ever did, than the Sixers. I mean, at this point for the Wizards, the process Sixers, the Wizards have been going on like it's crazy. At some point, the spirit of competition's got to matter. I'm glad it's next year. I'm glad we hit that point. It's not good when there's teams that are actively trying to lose games in a professional sport. That's a bad thing that we've all just accepted. And I hope there's less of it. I think there will be. It looks like there will be. That's a good thing.
That's my favorite thing about the potential of like the next step of the NBA or where the future is that, I don't know, like obviously the Thunder looked like world beaters, but they weren't. They did beat the world, but not in the spirit of that nickname or that designation. And if Tyrese is healthy, who knows what happens? And the Pacers are not world beaters either. But you could see how new styles of play, the Pacers being a really unique offense, the OKC being a really unique defense, and the diversity of matchups really assisted or harmed these teams. And I think the problem solving on the court by malleable players who were not a fixed, you're a superstar, you're a role player, you're this, you're that really helped define the last playoff run. And I hope that it defines upcoming playoff runs too. Trevon Heath is here. We can't see him yet. Here he is. Big Trey. How you doing? Are you excited about Trayce Jackson-Davis? What are you excited about?
First off, can I say I, as the only non-bald member of this team,
Prove it. You're wearing a hat.
Well, not yet.
Look at that. That's a Hall of Fame hairline, man. Crispy as hell.
But the Raptors, they did what we asked for. Trade for a big, get under the tax. Do I wish it was a better big? Do I wish maybe we didn't have the B team 6'9" at the 5? Yes, but I still want to see this team try to punch up and see what they can do in the playoffs before making any decisions. So I'm glad they weren't ultraly aggressive.
Joey Hoser says that is a haircut you can set your watch to. It's. I don't know if you guys know, but Trey grew up at West Point Military Academy. He's are you sad about, like you said, they did what we asked to, but are you sad at all about any potential deal out there? Like we talked about how Anthony Davis went for the Jay Crowder package, like apparently. What is there anything out there?
Yeah, I think the Jaren Jackson one is the one where you question if the Raptors had better contracts and more flexibility, could you have added a huge piece at a position of need that now you're saying, hey, maybe they can win a round, maybe they could win 2. I think the sobering feeling of this like deadline week is that many of the teams in the East improved in a big way, and the Raptors simply just don't have the flexibility to even make that decision to punch up if they even wanted to without affecting their core in a major way.
Okay, so this brings up the most interesting thing that Lewis and I talked about is I agree that teams did improve in the East. Yes. And definitely for next season.
Yeah, for sure.
Do you think that any of the trades changed potential playoff outcomes for the Raptors?
I think it's far less likely they win a round, but that was probably already the case prior to any of those deals. Like the Cavs getting James Harden significantly changes probably the way you feel about that potential matchup. They're 6th right now.
I know you were saying this in our little friend group chat, but the idea of quite a few of the Raptors switching on to James Harden is
just knowing that if they do get the 5th seed and you're playing the combination of Emmanuel Quickley and RJ Barrett versus 2 of the best driving guards in the NBA. They're probably one of the best driving like backcourt combinations we've probably ever seen.
Yeah.
And it sucks that the Raptors don't have like the artillery to like, hey, let's try to win in a year where Jason Tatum, Tyrese Halliburton are both hurt. But I still try to keep the big picture in mind and know that this is a success. But 2027, I'm a little concerned.
So this is a question for both of you guys. I talked about it over the first 15 minutes of the podcast. I'll go to you first, Lewis. The Raptors, they're a team that doesn't shoot well. They're not a small team if Jakob Poeltl is healthy. They're a decently sized team, in fact, with unique diversity in their front court between Mamu, CMB, Jakob, Scotty. It's pretty unique if he's healthy. When they are healthy, though, they still cannot shoot the basketball. Why not, or why would the Raptors peruse or pursue a shooter with the rest of these 2 hours? God, do I have to talk for another 2 hours?
It's a good question. I mean, I just wrote, why are the Raptors so bad at shooting? And it's really insane. Like they're trying. They've drafted shooters. Can't shoot, not good shooters. They've traded for shooters. Turns out they're not as good. They're pretty good, but not as good as they thought. They're trying so hard. On one hand, maybe screens are important. They have 0 guys who plant a screen. With
Trayce is better at it.
He is now the best screener on the team. Maybe that helps, but it's pretty disconcerting. And disconcerting to the extent that if you want a shooter, you just play Jamison Battle. Like that's the thing about, okay, Vit Krejci is good, Luke Kennard is good. They have a guy who can shoot with them. And I understand that they prefer versatility. And Darko, because I asked him about this when I was writing about Jamison Battle. He said, well, he's a specialist. He's very good in his specialized role. But they don't want to play specialists a lot of minutes. The thing is,
if I was Jamison, I'm like, what the fuck?
Everyone on this team is a specialist.
Yeah.
They just, other than Scotty Barnes, they don't have a single guy who can like flex into virtually any role. And that type of team with a fragile ecosystem, as we have called it, doesn't really have room for just plugging in a shooter who doesn't do a lot else. And like, if you want to improve your shooting, then either the guys who can't shoot need to shoot, or you have to change your team. Like, I don't think Trayce, if he's on the Raptors, changes anything.
So,
and you know, Ochai is not a flex guy. He's shooting under 20%. It's just like the construction of the team is currently built doesn't allow for shooters to just pop off.
okay, so this is my retort. And ND says, I don't know, I think Battle is pretty limited in the shots he takes compared to Veet. I agree with that. I think Veet is more movement. Battle is more precision, I suppose. So this is my thing. They win a very large percentage of the games where Grady just scores the ball. Not even like hyper efficiently, just like, did you score the ball, brother? Did you put it in the basket? Put the fries in the bag, bro, and let's go. Like, they win a lot of those because they're clearly looking, as you said, for shooting from anywhere because they have specialists everywhere. If they have any guy who does their job, it's really meaningful. I think that this Raptors team, shooting-wise, they could have used a Veet Krejci, and I think they would have won more games. But I think it's two things at once. Probably not changing the outcome of a playoff series, and it is probably, to some extent, completely giving up on your 13th overall pick. One of those things matters more than the other, winning the first round. There's probably not a shooter that changes that dynamic for the Raptors. Trey, do you think there is a shooter out there who could have changed that?
No, I think there's a clear talent gap right now. That's fine. It's kind of what you expected. But I think when it comes to shooting, that comes at a premium at the NBA. You have to pay. And the Raptors currently don't have many assets. They have young, we discussed this yesterday. They have young players, but those young players have not punched up to their value to allow them to be flexible and start buying with the team. They're in a weird spot where Scotty Barnes has clearly shown he's the star that you thought he was. And they're probably at a point where you now want to assemble a team around him within the last few years of his contract where he can see that this team is going to contend. But they don't have options necessarily to accomplish that without completely decimating the team. So it comes to a point where either those guys need to play better or they have to change the core of that team. And I think you have to wait till the summer to decide that.
Mm-hmm. So the thing on top of this is that Ingram is, not only is Scotty that star, but Ingram is good enough to be the second best player on like a top half Eastern Conference team. That's great. I know there is some, in certain groups, there's, is Scotty the best? Is Brandon the best? I think it's Scotty. Rowe, true point guard, said, IQ is that shooter. Get a point guard so he can play off ball. This is another interesting avenue that, we, all three of us have talked about. I'll swing it back to you, Lewis. We talked about Colin Sexton. We talked about Kobe White. Are you still at all interested in the Raptors pursuing a path in the future where it is not IQ the point guard, but IQ the two guard? Is that still viable to you?
I'm going to answer your question with another entirely unrelated question. Trey, have we ever been on a podcast together?
Yes.
Yeah, we
definitely.
have.
Okay, now I'm going to answer your question. Sorry, I was tripping out for a second.
You know what
exciting.
both of you guys do, though? Both of you guys, when you talk to me, you talk glowingly about one another. Like, Trey will be like, I love that Ball Don't Lie podcast special program with Lewis. And Lewis will be like, well, I was listening to the latest. Oh, fuck, I'm doing my Lewis impression. I'm sorry. I was listening to the latest Fall of Trey episode. And I was thoroughly enjoying Trey's co-host perspective. Anyway, Lewis, go ahead.
Wow, I talk like a bitch, eh?
No, it's like NPR. You know what I mean?
I did come up through talk radio, and I did a little commercial radio. Ira Glass for a long time was like I used to do Act 1, Act 2 just for like a week. I tried it on for my daily show. Anyway, I think Quick is actually malleable in that he can play alongside another guard. I thought a quickly Kobe White backcourt pairing would work really well. Because as a two guard, he's actually okay as a second side initiator, as a driver. It's like a lot of that stuff that's just untenable as a point guard looks pretty good as a shooting guard. And he has shown he can run pretty good pick and rolls with Jakob Poeltl. I don't think he's a 36 minute per game starter at point guard, but he can play point guard for stretches, certainly with great success. I think he would look really good alongside those guys. Jamal Shed is good, is a very good player, has a very good future. I would like to see Quickly play alongside a driver and creator with a little bit more scoring punch. See what that looks like.
Well, that's the thing that makes it so interesting, right? Is like the theory, the structure of what you just described clearly works because Jamal Shed is better than the numbers say. I do think so. But he is also a 50% true shooting point guard. And the fact that they are just winning those minutes because of the structure of what that extra ball handling allows. And also, may I say, this bullshit that everyone had about how like guards are dead and wings establish offense now. No shot, brother. Yeah. Trey, do you believe in the 2-point guard in IQ as the 2 guard?
I think it optimizes Quickly to succeed in the best way imaginable, but I don't think it's tenable for like long-term building. I think when you see in matchups where the Raptors play the Celtics, for example, like their backcourt, even when Jamal is on the court, get absolutely overwhelmed with their physicality. When they play the Knicks, guys like Jalen Brunson is a load to handle with physically. Guys like Josh Hart as well. Quickly, if he was more stout defensively and was able to deal with physicality, especially on the defensive end, would give you some sort of hope in that. But I think in order for him to work and be an established starter, you almost need like the perfect guard to play next to him. And when you think of a guy that can both hold his own defensively and guard a primary player, be a driving threat that gets downhill, also be that playmaker to initiate and open shots for him, you probably can think of maybe 3 to 5 players in the NBA. It just comes to a point where it doesn't make sense.
So, do you guys know what conversation pits are? It's like from the 60s and 70s, this architectural thing where they would like not dig out, but like there would be like a pit in the room, like a lowered where people would go and like talk. And they're cool. I urge both of you to go on Google and type in like conversation pit and think about like hanging out in one of those. It's pretty cool. And you're like, I see the upside of this. But then the problem is like, what if you don't want that pit, a giant pit in the middle of your room? You're like, what the hell do I do with this room? I think if you built the team around Emmanuel Quickly's limitations, you'd be able to say, look at this cool ass pit I have. We could talk all the live long day. But then you'd be like, what if you have a 4-year-old? What did you just fall 7 feet down the pit? What happens here? You know what I mean?
No, that's a big pit.
Trash Incorporated says pit talk already. Yeah, man. That's
I was picturing like.
Did you look at it?
No, but you don't build around weaknesses. I completely agree with you. You build around strengths, and that ameliorates weaknesses.
What strengths should we build around? What do we build?
Yeah.
Where will they come?
Make them shoot.
Wait, Trey. Lewis alluded to multi-million-dollar state-of-the-art techery in his
Noah board ain't
latest
enough
piece. Yes, this is. You are a Noah board optimist. Let's say.
Really?
What do you think? This is the fruit of which it bears.
Yeah, I guess when they leave, they start shooting. Pascal shot the ball like I've never seen him shoot before. But in terms of like building out the team, I think it's clear where Scotty is if he does this for the rest of his career, you're very comfortable in that. It's a core piece for a championship, probably one of the 1 or 2 biggest drivers if you are going to make a conference finals. But it's clear the team needs shooting around them. That's the biggest need. And then also, even with the Ingram trade, I don't think they've addressed their ball handling limitations and being able to get downhill, create easy shots. He's taken up a lot of the brunt of taking some of the most difficult shots and some of the bad shots that the Raptors generally create. And he's sometimes makes something out of nothing. But in order to win against good teams, like Minnesota decided in the fourth quarter, we're going to slow down the game. We're going to actually play defense, and they're not going to get transition looks. You have to be able to score in the half court, and doing so, you have to create easier shots. And BI doesn't address some of the most difficult things in the half court setting. So I think those two things still need to be addressed.
So Next Level DJs says, based on these discussions, you guys are implying trading IQ should be a priority and not RJ. I haven't been implying that. I don't know if anyone else has, but I don't.
I'll take that. I'll take that.
Okay, so I would say the Raptors shouldn't be opposed to trading either. And
Agreed.
It's probably hard, to win a championship with RJ as your starting two guard. It's probably hard to win a championship with Emmanuel Quickley as your starting point guard. Now, people could debate which one you buy into more, but I think you can be a really strong team with either of those guys at the one or the two. It's tough to be a truly elite team with that as your starting backcourt. This puts us in a situation where you say, how do we navigate it? What does it look like? Because if the Raptors had like a really strong point guard that wasn't Emmanuel Quickley, and he was paired next to, let's say, like if Andrew Nembhard was there instead of Emmanuel Quickley, I think this team could be really strong with RJ at the two. If you had if you went for IQ at the two and you had Kobe White at the one, or even a better guard, I think that the team could be really good. But this current construction is why people initially, if anybody didn't like the New York Knicks trade, was how are they going to do with these two guys? And then Emmanuel Quickley was the one with the higher perceived upside. Everyone talked about how they needed to trade RJ for 2 full years, and now they're perceived probably about even. I don't know where they go, but it's like I said at the start, I think the Raptors are positioning themselves to be a team that reshapes things in the summer. Does that pass either of your guys' sniff test? And if not, what is the disagreement? Everyone is preempting, by the way, my Coors Light lead in the chat. Everyone.
You know what doesn't pass my sniff test?
What's that?
Nick Nurse is on the board for the NOAA. He's a board member of the NOAA board.
Sabotage.
I'm suspicious of things like that. Insider trading or some such. I don't know what's going on there.
Well,
but
it was also, they had the NOAA technology. They had it.
Mm-hmm.
It was only once Nick Nurse had, I think, significant cachet within the organization that they decided to buy a $5 million display board, and then decide that they weren't going to send Mr. Jones and Mr. Smith on the road anymore. You know what I mean? Just money. And that's when they took away our pizza, man. They took away our pizza. Oh. For people who are new and haven't been listening for years, they took away the media pizza. They used to have pizza for us before the game. And my first year in Rexdale, it saved me a lot of money. I wouldn't eat all day, and I'd go load up on that pizza, man.
Ooh.
Anyway, go ahead, Lewis.
it looks a lot better if they can just shoot.
Yeah.
It's just, I mean, do you guys have answers? Why is this the least modern shooting basketball team in the NBA?
So I talked about this at the start. I'm going to be really quick so we can move on to Trey. They have a team who they expect all of their shooting. I know you mentioned it in your piece, Lewis, that they have spent first-round picks on shooting, that they have tried to purchase it. But they also have RJ Barrett and Scotty Barnes and Jakob Poeltl, and Brandon Ingram and Emmanuel Quickley just won't shoot more threes, even though I'm sure they're being asked to. So these guys take most of your shots. Like we've mentioned, Jamison Battle, he touches the ball 13 times per 15 minutes of gameplay.
which is a month, 13
Which-
times a month.
Yes,
So-
yes. He touches the ball 13 times a month. Grady touches it a little bit more often and isn't even shooting well. Jacoby is back under 35%, I think. So the shooting, if it's not coming from the role players, which we talked about that swing with Grady, where does it come from? This team is built not to shoot, and they're trying to flex tape their way through it. They're trying to slap on, I saw this boat in half. They're trying to do it, man. Trey, thoughts on shooting?
Yeah, it's unfortunate that the Raptors, like all the buys that they made, especially in the draft, have underperformed in terms of shooting talent. Jacoby, you can kind of say maybe up and down, but they took Grady in the lottery, expecting for that to be a guarantee for him as a prospect and allowing him to help mold the team. In terms of like reshaping and adding shooting, I find it hard to figure out how they're going to shape the team with the contracts they have attached. It seems as though basically through everything, even attaching a first to Jakob Poeltl made things difficult just simply because he's a corpse, at least right now. And Emmanuel quickly as well. And those are the two big contracts that hamper you from doing anything in terms of adding talent. So I think it still is reliant on the young guys shooting better and continuing to draft. And hopefully one of these guys hit.
Would either of you guys trade for Trey Murphy?
Heartbeat.
Heartbeat?
I would make this. I would make this.
Did the 44-point game, did that put a little extra pep in your step? 12 threes?
I looked at it and said, I'm a smart guy.
Let me ask you this, Trey.
Yes.
If the Raptors just added Trey Murphy, let's say for RJ Barrett's slot, does it change their ability to win in the first round against other teams that they're not currently able to beat?
No, I don't think it does. They wouldn't be strong enough defensively at the point of attack. And I think Ingram and Murphy still operate in some of the same spots, which is why they traded BI away to open up his game.
Also,
And
ND
why you got to
says,
do it?
I always look at things as you're adding a building block to the house. It's going to take multiple trades for this team to eventually contend. And if you think he's going to be a huge asset and into getting there, it's worth doing it, even if the team isn't like set yet.
Okay, so if certain players are conversation pits, is Trey Murphy, is he like truly foundational, or is he like a sick sunroom? A lot of people love a sunroom.
I do. I think not foundational because it doesn't address their core needs, but he is a player that could, like, if the Spurs traded for him, I could say they're going to make the NBA Finals.
Wow, really?
Yes.
Can I throw in a number?
Go ahead.
2022 to 2025 on the Pelicans, so pretty large stretch, the last 3 seasons there. Ingram and Murphy were +4 net rating together, almost 2,000 minutes. Negative in any other combination, either of them alone, without either, +4 together. That's okay. But if he's as good as I don't know if that's like win the championship for the Spurs.
I think their defense is going to be good enough to give OKC hell, and his shooting is something that will put them over the top because they have the ball handling and the defense to compensate for any limitation that he has. And he's a huge strength for them.
So it's specific to that team.
Yeah, it's changing from Harrison Barnes taking a shot from OKC, funneling it to him, to Trey Murphy, which would be huge.
I think also, so who is it? Let's just get the minutes played here. Julian Champagnie plays 28 minutes. Harrison Barnes plays 28 minutes. Those guys combine for almost 12 three-point attempts per game at 37 and 36%. There's also, I don't know how you cook into this, gravity, movement, perception, how that affects overall on-offs. I think replacing that with Trey Murphy would be pretty slick. And also, like, Keldon Johnson also plays a role somewhat similar. Jeremy Sohan, depending on how they align the lineup, I don't know. But where are you, Lewis? Obviously more skeptical.
I don't know. It would help the team a lot. It would really modernize the team. I think They're not going to be great picks.
Yep.
3 first-round picks, probably not. I think the Desmond Bane trade, probably not. If it's a little bit less, 2 first-round picks, I think I'm sold. They need guys like that. They need modern NBA players, modern NBA wings. They have a lot. He is a versatile player, right? He would be their second. That would be nice.
I think this is the second time you mentioned it. I think you're underrating Brandon Ingram's versatility.
He's very versatile. I'm just being an ass. Ingram actually, and especially this last month with his defense.
Yeah.
He's been really malleable in how he can impact the game.
Let's take a quick sidebar, because I've talked about this a bunch in my coverage. Leaning on the side of, I think that the Raptors have to be more inventive in how they use Ingram versus Ingram being static and unrelenting in his own role. Where do you guys land on that? Do you want more imagination from the Raptors or Ingram?
From the Raptors. He's being force fed a lot of shots. They play flat out, they throw him the ball and then ask him to create out of that. Some of that is obviously due to who else is going to do that on the team, to be honest. But I think a lot of what we saw in the preseason was what we hoped for. Him moving off the ball, him coming and picking his spots in between, getting downhill a bit more. He actually drove the ball far more yesterday than he has in recent weeks. But the way that he's utilized makes it tough for him to be efficient and for the Raptors to be an efficient half-court offense because they're so simple to guard.
Okay, so there's a comment here from Devin Patterson that says, there's no move that Bobby can make to make this team a real contender. Why do fans want to throw away picks? I will answer that with, there's definitely some wisdom to that, of course, but Serge Ibaka trade. They thought they were putting their hat in the ring as a contender. They thought they were getting Serge Ibaka. And then, of course, LeBron James still existed in some form. And I'll also say the Derek White trade for the Celtics. It did not manifest initially as a contender, but it is like, I don't know what trade is because if there was a trade that like put you over the top and made you a contender, like the Kawhi trade, was it then the Gasol trade? Right? Like, do they win with Valanciunas instead of Gasol? Or DeLon Wright still playing? Maybe even Fred VanVleet doesn't have the same exact role. I don't know. But it's an accumulation of moves. Like, I don't think you can get caught up with, is this move the one that makes us a contender? It's just like, does this move make us better? Do we maintain flexibility? Is there like significant upside to it? And I don't think there's that many moves like that on the market. Can you guys Lewis, can you conceive of a single one like that where you're like upside, better, flexibility, anything?
Not the guys that are left. I mean, Trey Murphy, but a lot of those guys just got traded. Like the trade deadline happened yesterday. There's not a ton of these guys left available. And I think Trey actually, before you came on, I was ranting about how contracts only matter a couple times a year. And I think you really took that to its logical step of applying it to today, where it's like, but if they had that malleability, then they could have done other things. And I do think, and I have to take off after this, but I do think that if they kick the can down the road because of the flatness of Emmanuel Quickley's contract and the inherent capitalist ethos of infinite growth to the NBA, or the trade deadline gets bigger every year, they could be in that position of strength in a year or two in a way that they aren't now. And so there's like, if you trade for Kobe White, for example, the Raptors have proved chronically unable to pay guys what they are worth or less. And there's a real risk for that if they were to make that trade this deadline. And that's one of the benefits of Trey Murphy is he's underpaid. He's on contract as an underpaid guy, just like, OG Anunoby was for the Raptors for so long. So I do buy the benefits of staying pat. I think there could be moves to be made that are beneficial. Who knows if the other team is okay with them? But I actually think it's quite small. I think there's a lot of moves that could harm the future, and only a few. It's the golden path is so narrow.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Regarding the capitalist ethos, I think Karl Marx said that it is not inherently human to be greedy, but that if you buy into the pervasive logic of capitalism, then all logic that follows will be inhuman and it will devour you. I think the
Holy
Raptors
hell.
need a little bit of that. They like, just
Yeah.
need some wins.
If
Some
there's a
home
trade, I'll be
runs.
back.
If there's a trade, you'll be back. So we're not interesting enough for you.
Fair enough.
I just have to. I got to do some other things first.
You're a dad.
Yeah,
No,
that makes
not-
sense.
My kids are at daycare, but I'm
Oh.
also running the written aspect of the trade deadline. Anyway,
That is why you're the big boss. That makes sense.
Yeah, big boss. Okay, get out of here, Trey. I have to talk to you about Ochai, and because we didn't get your thoughts on it yet. Actually, I just want to ask you a bunch of different things. Okay,
course.
so, yeah, okay. We have from Jordan W. Jesus Samson quoting Marx. That's right. I don't know. Hey, you must be new here. Okay, so what beyond I almost said it. I said at the start I wasn't going to say the term beyond that. I said it like 4 times. I don't know why it's stuck in my head. Anyway, okay, Ochai Agbaji, no longer Raptor. How do you feel? Do you have a eulogy for his time? What's going on?
I was wrong. You trade. Obviously, that pick was a vessel to help them get Brandon Ingram. So, like in the vacuum, you can kind of stomach the decision that they made. But you trade not a premium pick, but you trade first round asset to make a swing on Ochai. It looks good, really good for a season, which some of our
Life
friends,
is
I was
fleeting, man.
I was digging in when I said I believed, and because he defends at a decent enough level to be a rotational player, he is athletic enough to finish at the rim, finish in transition, and like doesn't require tons of shots, which is like perfect as a rotational player on a good team. And the Raptors lack, especially last season, positive players, which just felt fine. But this season, him having some of the best shot opportunities in the league and then spitting out 18% from three is just like unheard of. He's taken minutes away from guys like Jameson, Jacoby, Grady. So I think it's the right move to get off of him. But if you told me that today they would have spent Ochai 2 seconds to get TJD, I would have been baffled. But
We had meager expectations. I was like, you could trade him for Amir Coffee.
yeah,
You could trade him for Amir Coffee. You could do the little beverage trade. And no, they're like, you got to give us a little second, a little Lakers second, and you can get off of him. Joey Hoser says Ochai from last year is what they need this year. Too bad. They certainly could use a guy who shoots 40% instead of 18%. Donkey16 says, what 29th pick was used more effectively, trading for Ochai and Kelly or selecting Malachi? I will say Kelly was part of the Ingram trade. They signed him to an extension, bro. What the heck? Dude, I don't know, man. The contract decisions on this
delay
team.
actions to Ochai was special for 10 games. They were special. You know how many lobs he threw?
Looking at some of the contracts that were given out, man, over the past like 4 years, what the hell is going on? Even Thad. They paid Thad too. And like, yeah, he had the 1 million versus 8 million if it's guaranteed or not. But whoa. Like you sit back and you start saying like, this is damn near schizophrenic.
It's in terms of contracts, it's the Raptors are near the worst in the NBA in terms of their contract situation. There is no positive contract you can say because Scotty is paid the maximum he's allowed to be paid, even though he's a star. You can maybe say like Jamal Shed is probably giving you $7 million worth of impact right now, maybe 8.
Okay,
But
so
like-
I was doing this exact talking point, and somebody in chat started dunking on me. So get ready for this.
Oh, after your Mark speech, says no, me piling on with this isn't the greatest. But they don't have any wins in terms of their draft picks or their contracts. So building the team is going to be very hard because like teams like Utah, where we made fun of for 2 years for not drafting well, they woke up one day and decided we're just gonna get better by trading for Jaren Jackson. We have the assets to do it, and the Raptors don't have that vacuum or that chest of assets where they can decide we can just scrap and wipe away the mistakes that we made. They have to hit on things.
Okay, so from Shad Manertzia, sorry if I'm saying that wrong or is separating you to the wrong place, from Shad, let's say, do you think there will be enough progression from the young guys, Shed, Jacoby, Grady, CMB, etc., next season to justify the lack of moves at this deadline? I think this is a good question, but I would frame it more so as lack of moves at this deadline, summer, and next deadline. Like, that's really what matters. And this team, I think this is what we've been talking about. I don't think this team is good enough to dictate that, like, you have to add, you have to add. Like, most people probably right now are thinking, like, they're the 4th seed. You should add. You didn't even realize that they're the 6th seed right now, man. Like, it wasn't that big a buffer. You know, like, they weren't, like, so far ahead.
Yeah.
Well, they actually were for a little bit, and then you give up 3 games where you're up by an average of 15 in each of them. Anyway, so they aren't that good. Our friend, who will not be named because he loves being anonymous, made the point that you know, the Hornets have a better net rating than the Raptors. Why would LaMelo Ball downgrade? Now it's just being funny. But the Raptors do not have like a home run. We're that team. They did, when we were at 19 games in the season. Oh baby, we were going crazy. But I don't think they have the means to justify it now. This summer will be huge.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It's hard because you're wrong about things. But I do remember a time when the Raptors used to do things and I used to think immediately, like, oh yeah, this is a great move. And then it would be a great move. And there's been a couple moves that they've made in the past where I'm like, I think this will be good. And then Otto Porter Jr. lost his toe. And I don't know what happened. And like they've had a couple things where I'm like, yeah, this should be all right. Like
I think I talk about this a lot. The delineation point of this is the Aaron Baines move where they let Mark go, and I'm like, they'll just fill him in. Look at Aaron Baines, he hits threes, he can rebound, and it was just like, this was the worst possible decision you could have made.
And then it came out, they're like, oh yeah, he passed out at some point, you know, like when he was competing with Australia. By the way, everybody, he's not been on the podcast in a while. Live from Chicago, Esfandi Arbahini is here.
What up, gang?
What's going on, brother? Are you happy or sad with the Raptors?
With the Raptors, I'm content. I have no qualms. I'm chilling. I would not have been happy with a DeMontis Sabonis trade. I would have been okay with an Anthony Davis trade depending on the price. But overall, I feel like they should have just kept this horse moving down the road, whatever the saying is. Keep pushing that cart down the road, and that's what they're doing. So
push the boulder up the hill.
That's
Okay,
right.
so
There you go.
Koki Doki 94 says the Athletics S. I'd like you to be honest with me.
Yeah.
When people ask you what you do and you say, oh, I'm a sports writer or whatever you describe yourself as,
Sure.
how many places do you name? Actually, two questions. How many places do you name before Raptors Republic gets mentioned? And then do you say the Athletic or do you say the New York Times?
I say, well, okay. If they are Iranian, I say the New York Times. Because they don't know what the Athletic is. You know, if I'm talking to like an auntie or like a grandma or something, they're gonna be like, "Oh my God, the New York Times." So yeah, for them it's the New York Times. For everybody else, it's the Athletic. And then I kind of caveat it with, "Oh, they're owned by the New York Times." Where does Raptors Republic come in? Probably like right after, dude, because I cover the Raptors. This is yeah.
So obviously, sportscasting, is that done for you today as well?
I haven't checked my notifications, but maybe.
This is like when Yahoo folded, and I saw everybody being like, yeah, my contract with Yahoo is up. And I was like,
Oh, you-
damn. And then I realized, I was like, wait, I'm with Yahoo. What the hell, dude? I was like, oh, no. Okay,
Yeah,
so
that's funny,
we
dude.
have a couple questions for
Dude, by
you.
the way, can I just say this is an excellent shirt on you?
Which, me?
Yeah,
Oh,
this is a nice
um,
fitting shirt.
thank you. Okay, anyway.
Chest is really
And, okay. Enough. So,
anyway.
the question I have for you, do you think that any of the trades in the East today changed potential outcomes in the first round for the Raptors?
Yes. I mean,
Whoa!
no. No, in the sense that like I think me and Trey, we've talked about this before.
Yeah.
Samson, I feel like you probably agree, but I lean towards them being a first round out anyways. And now looking at the Cavs getting better, the Cavs also have the third easiest schedule in the NBA moving forward, so they're going to climb up the standings for sure. Um, the Celtics obviously got better, I think, with Vucevic, and the Knicks are still the Knicks and a very, very competent basketball team.
And they have Jose Alvarado.
And they have the dog GTA. Yes, of course.
Oh.
I honestly just think everybody else has improved, whereas the Raptors have kind of like marginally done some stuff. I don't think Trayce Jackson Davis is going to be the difference between them beating the Celtics or the Cavs in round one. So
Do you think they would have beat the Cavs with Garland instead of Harden?
no.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Donovan
no.
Mitchell is really good. And
He's
like in a
really
playoff
good,
series,
yeah.
he's gonna give you 34 points a game or something like that.
Yeah.
It's tough to contend with.
They're also like the Cavs are getting healthier too. I know Strus is coming back soon, and they obviously they found something with Jalen Tyson. The last game the Raptors played against him, like he had a really really great game.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just if I had to rank the teams that I'm like most confident in, I'm weirdly most confident in them playing the Pistons, even though the Pistons are the number one team in the Eastern Conference.
This
Rich,
dude,
do you
if
guys feel
they
the same
get,
way?
we've talked about this. The
Yeah.
Pistons,
Yeah.
I don't know what it is, but there's like a smell coming off of them that says like they're not the number one team in this conference. I know they are.
Yeah.
I know they
Yeah.
are,
Right.
but
yeah.
I don't buy it to that degree. Although I think the Pistons would beat us.
Yeah, I think they would win, but it like the Raptors would have the better chance than I don't know. I give them no chance against the Celtics, unfortunately. I give them no chance against the Sixers. We've had this conversation, Trey. I know you're about
The six.
yeah.
If Joel Embiid is not healthy, I'm taking the Raptors.
Sure.
Big caveat. That's a likely outcome.
Dom Barlow and Andre Drummond probably not seeing you through the first round as your front court, but yeah. I'm like, well, anyway, I think it's regardless, they can be. Without injuries. I don't know how they do it.
I don't.
But that's what this season was supposed to be, right?
Yeah.
I think all of us. I don't know if any of us predicted like a first round win. We said like there's a ceiling here. Maybe the second round if they get like a really nice matchup. Like let's say they won more in the regular season. They get to play the Heat. That team, good. They can beat the Heat. But otherwise, I don't know, man. It's they're doing better. They're beating Vegas. They're beating consensus. But can they beat any team in the first round? I'm not confident.
I think the second half approach for them should be to just make sure they don't get into the play-in, because single elimination basketball for this team that isn't a great shooting team that like we've seen in clutch time situations over the last 2 weeks just completely collapse. I don't know if that necessarily bodes well for them to like beat, I don't know, Orlando or someone in a single elimination type of game, you know? You're muted. You're muted. Yeah.
They're 3 games up on the Heat right now and 3.5 up on the Magic. I think the Magic will finish above the Heat by the end of this year.
Yeah.
I think the Raptors will finish above both those teams. If they fall below the Heat or the Magic,
Yeah, that's
I'm
tough.
pretty
That'd be
disappointed,
brutal.
man.
Yeah,
I would be too.
And Trayce Jackson Davis does not insulate them against that. Would Vit Krejci, Io DeSumo, or a Kobe White or somebody like in ranges, do you think either of those guys guarantees them top 6?
Honestly, if they had Kobe White, I would be more confident here telling you that they could win a first round series.
I would be too.
Agreed.
But
but alas, how do you guys? I'm sure you guys, because you guys have been on this for 2 hours now. I'm sure you've talked about this, but do you feel mad that they didn't go out and get involved in these other trades to go out and get whoever? I mean, you mentioned a bunch of names, but do you feel that way? No.
I don't care. I'll let you take it, Trey.
Yeah, I'm not mad or anything. They did exactly what we wanted. We wanted to see what the team will look like in a playoff situation. They decided the pick that they wanted, so that which is fine. What I touched on, I guess, the opportunity cost that they missed out because of their contract situation is rough.
Yeah, totally.
You have multiple players that kind of went for pretty cheap that you could have added to the core. Like if you told me they add Jared Jackson Jr., even with his deficiencies next to Scotty, and you're building these two plus BI into a round, I would like they might be able to win a round. They
If
might be able to
Jakob
surprise.
Poeltl was an expiring salary, Jaren Jackson Jr. is probably a Raptor. Right?
They could have made it happen.
You think?
I'm just like 3 picks plus 2 expiring salaries in RJ and Jakob, and then you can tack on like a prospect or two, because the prospects that the Grizzlies or the Jazz added weren't anything consequence. Like if you added a Jacoby Walter or a Grady Dick to that conversation, you're probably getting in the door there. I don't know. I feel like that's tough.
Or they for sure would have got Anthony Davis. Is probably the easiest scenario.
I do wonder. I wonder if they like not only the availability to make moves, because I don't know, man. Like again, everybody is like, "Oh, we're hearing things."
Yeah,
everyone heard something. Everyone hears the same thing once somebody's brave enough to put their. How is Legion Hoops doing, by the way? What's the update on that, Trey? I know you've been keeping track. Everyone is. Oh wait, you muted yourself, Trey. Everybody is brave after like there's one guy who's like, "Hey, listen, I heard this." Suddenly 17 people pop up and are like, also hearing the same thing. Nobody said Washington for Anthony Davis. Oh, you didn't hear it? Everyone heard the Raptors, but nobody heard Washington.
Nobody thought the Jazz for Jaren.
Yeah, exactly. I just wish, how I wish. It was just like, why do we need, and like, listen, deeply ironic since we're live streaming and like churning through the news as it comes, but why couldn't it be that it's like, listen, the team announces the trade, and then everyone goes, oh, instead of all this rigmarole of like, oh, we had 16 weeks of preamble where it's like everyone said the wrong answer, but we still have to pretend like, oh, part of the answer was right. They did trade them. Like, anyway, you were going to say something.
You know what's funny? Our friend Tim actually brought this up where he was like, I miss. Shh. Is he listening?
No, name.
Identity.
Oh, yeah. So a person we know, but like a friend of ours was saying that Kyle, right? Like the moment where he said, "Hey, I'm staying, I'm signing," that was him letting the world know. You know, it wasn't Shams Charania announces that, Kyle Lowry's re-signing and signing extension. That is like a gone era. It doesn't exist anymore.
He's news breaking like 17-year-olds who are like, I'm gonna make an announcement in front of my family. He's like, bitch, he's going to USC. Like I don't know, man. It's all a bit much. Wait, okay, so here's my question for you. You're New York Times basketball reporter. You have a wider appreciation or understanding of the league at large. What's your favorite trade so far?
Favorite trade, man, probably favorite is tough. Like, I do really like the James Harden Darius Garland trade. for both teams. Like if Garland ever stays healthy, dude, that is like he is going to pop off in LA. And I don't know if they're going to end up. There's still some time, but I don't know if they're going to end up trading Zubats or anything like that. But the connection between those two would be really nice in the pick and roll. Um, he's dynamite. I think we all agree that Darius Garland's like an awesome player. So I hope he stays healthy. And then for the Cavs, it's can James Harden. I think this Cavs team is positioned to one help James Harden a lot, and also for him to just kind of be the pacemaker, tone setter, whatever you want to call it, floor general that he can be for a team without requiring him to be the be all and end all scorer. Like for the Clippers, he had to be everything. He had to create everything, right? For the Sixers, it was, Maxey wasn't ready yet to take the helm and Embiid was hurt. For the Nets, I don't think it was James Harden who broke up the Brooklyn Nets.
I don't know why people say that, by the way.
I don't think it was James Harden. So like I think he gets a bad rap in general of him being on like failed teams and failed franchises or whatever. If he's in the right role and right situation, which I think Cleveland is, he can do a lot for them. So.
Joey Hoser says, did you guys talk about Trayce yet? If you go to the first like between 10 and 30 minutes of this podcast, I did a full film breakdown on him if you want to go back.
Oh, yeah. Hey, dude. Okay. Of all the bigs that we talked about over the last month and a half, okay, we brought out Day'Ron Sharpe, Goga Batadze, freaking Yves Missi. I don't even know. There were so many bigs that we mentioned, okay? Did we once say Trayce Jackson Davis one time?
No,
not once.
This is my point. Is that like, and it's similar to like, God. Where would I be without this podcast and an avenue for all of my complaining? You guys hear enough from me during the days. But like, we're all just talking about things that don't happen. Like everyone is like, oh, this trade. It never happens. I make this point often. Everybody talks about a trade. The world talks about a trade for like 2 months. And the permutation that pops out at the end is not one that has been named. Or if it does, there's like one guy in a reply with 3 likes from like December 17th who's like, I think it'll be this. But like nobody ever knows. So we're all just talking about nothing.
It's kind of like fan casting for superhero movies. Like you'll see a guy and you'll be like, yo, this guy needs to be this superhero. And then it ends up being someone completely different. Like that's...
Imagine, bro, if Glenn Howerton was Star-Lord, the Marvel Cinematic Universe would have been changed forever, man. Or like Nikolai Coster-Waldau as Joel.
Sure.
From The Last of Us. Yeah, man. Yeah. Can I ask you guys what you think of this? Because Lewis and I talked about this when we were talking about Brandon Ingram and how Rich Paul afterwards was like, he wasn't getting that money anywhere else, so I got it for him with the Raptors. Did you guys see his comment about Darius Garland today?
Oh yeah. He said, "Prepare. You better be ready to see your last year in Cleveland."
Isn't that crazy?
It was nuts.
Yeah, he's a fortune teller. I don't know.
He's a fortune maker.
He's moving things around. He said, someone's got to make your monster spot for LeBron.
He's not like, I have a feeling, Darius. He was like, no, I have a feeling I'm going to make it happen. Now let me go get the GM on the phone. And like, by the way, basketball, it can be stressful, people. Let me tell you that. But your choice of beer, it doesn't have to be. Coors Light delivers mountain cold refreshment. We're going to get the logo up here. Sorry, we're going to say goodbye to S really quick. When the mountains turn blue, the beer is as cold and refreshing as the Rockies. You can see in the top right corner, Pull Up Tray Podcast is presented by Coors Light. Make sure to celebrate responsibly, of course, and also know that Coors Light is cold lagered, cold filtered, and cold certified for a smoother finish. You must be of legal drinking age to partake, to imbibe. Otherwise, we do not, the Pull Up Tray Podcast does not condone underage drinking. Be of legal drinking age. That's how I feel about all that. S, is there anything else you want to talk about? Do you have to leave soon or?
I do have to leave, but I'm with you guys on everything. I agree with everything.
The
course.
beer? It's ice cold.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. Oh,
Okay,
yeah.
because
Rock and roll.
ill-defined says you don't know if the beer turns blue. You're just speculating. Which, listen, man, I don't know if you're actually hitting very close to home, but I can't let you know that. You know what I mean? Okay. Any final thoughts before you leave, without agreeing
No.
with us?
Yeah, no, the sky isn't falling. The Raptors will be fine. 47 wins, first round. Let's see who they play. And hopefully they can trade for LaMelo Ball or Devin Booker or something in the summer. That'd be great. Sure.
Devin
Oh.
Booker would
Imagine.
move mountains
Yeah,
for me.
yeah,
I
he
think
would.
he.
Yeah, yeah. Or
I
Donovan Mitchell. I hope the Cavs crash and burn and then Donovan Mitchell comes available. Who knows? Yeah.
well also, or yeah, actually get out of here. Enjoy
Okay.
the rest of your day. Are you going back on
Okay.
the Athletic Daily?
I am jumping on there right now.
Okay.
What
Big
time is
business.
it? How much
It
time is left until the trade deadline?
It's 2 Eastern, so an hour left.
1 hour left until all of that. So
Okay, if anybody in this chat, I know I'm not supposed to do this, but if anybody in this chat
Don't
wants
do
like
this.
more
Stay
wants
here.
more
Stay-
substantial like
Stay
NBA
here.
wide coverage, the Athletic Daily will do more. Trey and I, with an hour left to go and nothing happening, I don't know what we'll get into, quite frankly. Like
don't
there'll
know
be
either.
some basketball, but I don't like we will talk about like the Jamaica conversation is coming up. I don't know, probably in the next 15 minutes. All right, S.
right,
Thank you
bye,
very
guys.
much.
Bye.
Yeah, later,
See ya.
later, Gator.
Bye, guys.
Oh, all right. Eric Gordon to the Grizzlies. Does that make you feel anything, Trey?
We chat. We need a minutes per game threshold on announcing trades, please. I think 18 minutes is enough to say like this is an impactful player being traded. They don't even need to be a good player. They at least play minutes.
So, what was Trayce Jackson-Davis? There's no way he was playing 18. He was at
No.
11.
Oh,
Ochai would have been at 15 or 16. Okay, Donkey says, need your thoughts on Boucher to Utah. Can he win a game or two and cost them that pick? What do you? Utah is they got a freak ass front court right now, dude.
they're super sneaky. Their defense for sure is gonna be good with Kessler and Jaren. And Laurie's played the 3 before. He played it in Cleveland, played a bit of it in Chicago, which is fine. But they're putting a lot of pressure on Keontae George being the creator that he is and being able to play make outside of whatever pick they land at the end of the lottery. But I like they decided that we're just gonna stop sucking now.
Koki Doki says Utah has a white center of every flavor. They do. They have Finnish white. They have well, I guess it's only 2, right? Who's their other white
Yeah.
center? They have Kessler.
That flip.
Oh, wow. They have a Finnish white. They have a Mormon white, and they have a hunky dory Southern white. I'm pretty sure.
Wow.
Oh yeah, and they had Jock Landale too, Australian.
Oh, they do have Nurk.
And
Nurk is
Nurkic.
playing. Nurk
And
is
they
playing
have
well
the
this
Slav.
year.
Holy moly! Bosnian.
Bosnian.
They have every white. Oh my
Wow.
god, they do. It's like the infinity stone of like white big men.
Mhm.
And there's
Ultimate
a diversity of skill sets there. Who's running that team? Oh yeah, we know who's running that team. Why are you moving this way, brother? He didn't get Jaren Jackson Jr. because he liked how he played. He got him because he wanted to beat the allegations.
Do you think it's burning Danny Ainge they didn't pick Con Knipple?
Oh yes.
He's like Con Knipple would have a statue in Utah right now if he was playing, if he was there.
So there's this community, the show. I think they say, I can't remember which guy did Dancing with the Stars. And Pierce, the character, says, he did Dancing with the Stars? He shakes his head and says, oh, I liked him. Like he was disappointed, like he thought that made him gay. And and I just imagine Danny Ainge watching Con Knipple and Charlotte's like, I liked him, man. Oh,
So close.
and he sees him doing like the fiend dance with like LaMelo Ball. He's like, we lost him, man. We could have had him.
No, they're good. I have a question for you because we
Yeah.
haven't discussed. I've seen a lot of people talk about the Wizards and them being
Mhm.
potential playoff team this year or next year. With the moves that they've made, do you think they're a challenger for the Raptors for one of the last 4 slots next year?
Yeah. Yeah, I do. I think that Trae Young, if you were wanting to surround Trae Young with guys who would help his lack of, let's say, punch on the defensive end, we're looking at Anthony Davis, who, listen, I know he's not the healthiest guy. In fact, he's one of the least healthy as far as we know. Alex Sarr. Those are 2 big men who, at least in terms of giving you front court defense, that's probably top 5 in the NBA. That's great. And they also have Keyshawn George and Bilal Coulibaly, and they have like a couple really interesting other guards who can play. Like who's more interesting to you, Bub? Maybe Trae. I would say Trae is far more compelling.
for sure.
But well, I mean, you and I love Trae in the draft
Yeah.
process. That team should be real deal. Like, I understand, especially we talked about it with Lewis, is like perceived value, hitting home runs, all this kind of stuff. Given that Anthony Davis plays 33 games a year now or whatever, it's hard to get. But if he plays lots, then yes, he's worth the money. Trae Young, maybe not all the way, but these guys are good. And they're going to move you a certain way. And Keyshawn George is like real deal good. Alex Sarr is good. And Trae Young and Anthony Davis, not only do they kind of paper over the other weaknesses of the roster, but they embolden some of the strengths. So I think that they've done a great job. Troy Spencer says Wizards got rid of Kuzma and Poole in back-to-back trade deadlines. They're clearly going in the right direction. Why Milwaukee thought Kyle Kuzma?
Man, the Bucks are just like when you're with when you're around a couple where you know they need to break up. You just feel the angst in the room, and they're like, and I like therapy as much as the next guy, but they're like, we're going to couples there, and you're like, you're too far gone. What just happened?
That's a great quote. I like therapy as much as the next guy. Is the exact quote of a guy who does not attend therapy. I'll tell you that much. Nobody who says like I like X as much as the next guy, that's the guy who's not participating in X. I'll tell you that much. The Bucks was so funny. You get all these reports, right? And we were just talking about how, it's all cannon fodder. It's like, yeah, we have a report that the Bucks feel like they can build a contender around Giannis. All right. Sure. Okay. They really lucked into that. It's a good thing they won one. It's a good thing they won one.
Oh, it's a weird situation because like they could win the lottery, but they also would have to give that pick to Atlanta in a swap. So it's like there is no way out of giving Giannis a chance to contend, and they might have shoehorned themselves to in the summer allowing Giannis to decide the team that he wants to play for. And if he decides, I was gonna pull the accent. I was so close. he decides, what if I'm gonna be a Knick? Then you're beholden to Mikal Bridges, Deuce McBride, and picks, and that's the greatest. Is Giannis the greatest Buck ever? I guess so. He played the longest.
Kareem though,
but yeah, they won one too. But I think Giannis has played for the Bucks longer.
Yeah. I'll give it to Giannis. Sure. Yeah.
Sure. But yeah, you turn that into Mikal Bridges, for example, or Karl Anthony Towns. And then you also get rid of Dame, sign Miles Turner to like exacerbate the situation. Make it worse.
Miles Turner, and by the way, people were a really big fan of your Pokemon analogy. The experience share that was tremendous. But this comparison of the couples therapy, Miles Turner is like the open relationship of saving the like that was, I don't know what they were thinking. They're like, oh, this guy, we'll bring this guy in, and then it'll allow you to play more freely, Giannis. Oh my God, it's literally right there, dude. Donkey16 says, let's not pretend like any of us can have honest 70s cream
That
takes.
is a fact.
You know, Trey and I, we never pretend like we watch these guys. I've seen like Magic and Bird on the NBA History Channel. Have you seen a Kareem game? Did you ever? I've never seen it. I've seen like 4 minutes.
I've watched docs, obviously on his like Laker time, but like I can't visualize 3 buckets he had for the Milwaukee Bucks.
I just pictures. Yeah. That is like, that's why LeBron will be consensus the GOAT, and then somebody after him will be consensus the GOAT. It's like, you can respect, and Michael Jordan has like the resume to respect for sure. It's like 6 finals MVPs, 6, like that is pretty undeniable. Scored the hell out of the basketball, and you can watch a little bit of him. And now they're making AI rescrubbings of perfected highlights of him doing stuff. But it's just like, who was the most recent? And LeBron is going to be, he's played so long. I think he's going to be like, he's going to be that dude. Shad says, go ahead.
I was just gonna say it's all a circle. I feel my old head tingling when people are like Victor Wembanyama's the greatest 19-year-old I've ever seen, and I'm like, no, he's not. Or like Cooper Flag, he should be in college right now. Look what he's doing. I'm like, LeBron never went to college.
That's really funny. Shad says, how many trades do you expect?
Wow.
Zoo to the Pacers. Well, I know what I'm doing.
I'm very concerned about next season.
For the Raptors?
Yes.
Yeah. Well, I know what I'm doing later today, probably, is I'll be talking to Caitlin about Zubats to the Pacers. If there's any Pacers people in here, I like that for the what do they trade? If it's Mathurin, I think if it's built around Mathurin, I think that's a great situation.
Package hasn't come out yet.
All right. So I do like that though. And I think next year a center duo of Zubats and Huff is pretty good. Like that'll take you places. And also, they're gonna be bad, man. They're gonna get like a good draft pick. And whether they, turn that into somebody or go just straight to the draft, I don't know. 16 minutes ago, the Raptors tweeted out, "Thank you, Ochai." Retweeted by Camden McMillan. Thank you, Camden, for putting that on my timeline. Thank you, Ochai.
Yes.
Yeah, the Raptors next season, it's going to be a little stiffer. It's stiffer competition.
It's tough. I think Bobby's tenure as like the lead guy is likely going to be defined by whatever they do this summer, because they're in a situation with everyone in the East improving, regardless of the outcome. Even if this team goes on another 9-game winning streak, they win 50 games, you cannot return with the same team and hope to compete. Tyrese Halliburton will be back. Jason Tatum will be back. The Wizards will be a lot better. The Hornets are playing now as a 40-plus win team with the way that they're playing right now. Everyone's continued to get better, but it's going to be tough to build a team with the way things currently are.
So Tingson88 says, how much time do the Raptors have to build around Scotty before he starts looking elsewhere? I assume like 2 years, probably, because the back end of the max contract is typically like I know we are in this player empowerment era, but then the cap crunch got so crazy that teams just started being like, listen, man, you can rot on this team. I don't care. But probably the back end of his max contract, if the Raptors are no good and he's 6-7 years into his career, and the Raptors are like, we've given you 12 playoff games.
Yeah. Risky business.
Yeah. But like, Will Smith says he doesn't have a player option. Leverage is gone. I agree with that to some degree, but also like, I don't think it'll truly be like a next level power play. Scotty is quite beloved by the franchise, the fans. Like, if he says like, I don't like where this is going, ask out. I actually do think, and we just talked about how the Raptors are a team that is really interested in doing well by players, by and large. They probably would collaborate on like, if Scotty's like, I want to go to Florida or something, or maybe wants to go to LA or whatever the hell. Maybe he wants to go to Oklahoma City. I don't know. But yeah, probably like 2 more years, maybe.
Yeah. Let me ask you, at what season, when Masai said a champion, we will win in Toronto, did you start saying, I'm not as moved?
I think it was when it was the end of the 2000. It was the year of the Yak trade, and I remember sitting there talking to Masai at his year-end presser, and when he went back to it, like I felt like almost like a rattle in his throat. You know what I mean? Like I felt his hesitation. You know what I mean? Like it was, I felt it in the room, and I've talked to Masai, a few times in my life, and then also sitting in these pressers and all this kind of stuff. There's real power to that man in the room, in his speech and everything like that. He really can convey himself, his meaning. And when that disappeared, it was like, whoa. And it was the same one where he was like, especially since I knew that he was beefing with, well, not beefing, I should be more, he was having whatever types of conversations or no conversations at all with Pascal. And then he was like, tearfully was like, his success is my success. It was that press conference where I was like, it might not have it, man. Like I'm not exactly sure where it's going. And it's been weird, man. It's been weird.
Yeah.
This team has not had it looks like not a direct line of like decision making.
Yeah. I think around the Pascal trade, where that whole season, you're saying to yourself, like, they'll be able to dig themselves out of whatever hole they are based on whatever they get from Pascal, and figure it out. OG as well. Like they have guys. And then the OG return, I was pretty pleased with considering the circumstance. He was expiring deal. But I remember it being announced and them not getting not one guy you wanted from the Pacers and saying, we're cooked. we do not have the facilities. Like Brandon Ingram's a part of that trade now, so it looks a bit better.
No, he's not, man.
He is.
No, that's not how it works.
Piece of the pick. That pick is the core piece of why they went with the deal.
Okay, so you want to Nabil this? The Raptors traded Darren Peterson for Brandon Ingram. Like, are we doing that? Are we walking this road?
That's a Pelicans decision.
That's funny. Oh, that is so funny. Okay, fair enough. Then he's part of the Ingram trade. It stayed in-house is your argument there. Okay. Are we still waiting on Zubac info? What? Like,
yes.
I guess it doesn't really matter. Why are we waiting on Zubac info? It's a Raptors podcast. Like, I guess he got traded. We'll see. Blackhawk says Pacers get Zubats and we get cheese sticks. There are these really good. I don't know what it is, but everyone, when I went to Indianapolis for the finals, and everybody from Indiana was, I can't remember the name of the place, but was like tweeting at me. They're like, you have to go to this place and get breadsticks with cheese. And like, it was just these breadsticks that you dipped into cheese, and it was good. I can't remember the name of the restaurant though. But it was like a cultural phenomenon, cheese and bread. And it was good, but I was surprised that it was a cultural phenomenon. Like, it wasn't like jerk chicken or something like that. You know what I mean?
Fair enough.
Jamaica part of the podcast. I need you.
What in doubt, huh?
Yeah. Koki Doki says this draft is amazing. Mr. Science, is there anybody you like from this draft just at a glance?
Yeah. Thankfully, this is the least amount of college basketball I've watched in 5 years because the Raptors are actually good. So thank the Lord for that. But based on what I've seen, like the top 5 looks as good as like the Scotty draft, where you have Darren Peterson, who looks like he's the best guard probably since Cade Cunningham, probably even better because he shoots the rock really good and far more athletic.
Well, what's the difference? Cade was also, I think, didn't he shoot like almost 40% at Oklahoma? And Cade's athleticism really, you felt it was not at the same level during college, and then also, into the NBA. But Darren, if their shot is real,
big time. And then the pride of Jamaica, AJ Defensa, who he could even get downhill. He can handle the ball at his size, which is really rare. Cam Boozer, who's sort of like that Kevin Love fixture. He can shoot the ball, very functional, really good passer, rebounds well first position. I think like he's the swing of like how good this draft is, because like is that player in 2026 a star? But and then guys like Caleb Wilson, things like that. There's like 4 or 5 guys where you're super happy. That's why I think teams like Utah and the Wizards, you can sell yourself on making trades for Jaren and AD, because if you acquire one of those 5 guys, you're saying this team is probably set. Let's try to compete.
So Jake Fisher just said it's Benedict Mathurin is going to the Clippers as part of the Zubats trade. I will say, as someone who covers the Pacers, Mathurin, I hope Jake is right. I hope Jake is right. Mathurin had difficulties fitting in, voiced displeasure. The Pacers did a pretty good job of keeping most of this like behind closed doors, and he had a tough time fitting in, and then also like not just with fitting in the role, but also like playing that form of basketball. And I think moving Mathurin for a real deal center that you feel like you can take into playoff series is a huge win for the Pacers. I don't know what's been added to this trade, but Benedict Mathurin, when I was writing this piece on him last year, I went and watched all of his assists, and like he had, I think 4 out of 84 assists were live dribble assists, and I was just like, this can't work, man. He's an unbelievable shot maker. He can blow up at any time, but I think this is a really great move for the Pacers. You're being slandered in the chat. I'll let you respond.
I see this. First of all, don't put the Yankees on me. But I put our dear friend Makai Bruce, a fellow New Yorker, through severe abuse when the Blue Jays won. Also, the Patriots, since Tom Brady has been gone, have been one of the worst teams in the league all the duration of 5 years. They come back, they make the Super Bowl. That is what real fans do. They stick through the tough times. And then LeBron is just like one of the greatest humans of all time. How could I not support? It just makes sense.
I'm not like a LeBron fan, but I am a deep LeBron respecter. I respect LeBron greatly.
Oh, wow. They gave up a lot for Zoo.
Whoa, 2 firsts. Surely not this year.
Yeah, I got to see what their first
2029. Surely not this year.
That's a lot.
If they gave up this year's, well, this I guess lets you know how they valued Mathurin in-house, because they were. Mathurin is not that bad of a player next to Garland, I will say. But Garland just got away from Donovan Mitchell having the ball, and now Benedict Mathurin's going to be like, I'm going to be on ball a lot. He's going to be like, oh, brother. Mathurin Walker in 2 firsts, reportedly, from chat. I haven't seen that anywhere.
I gotta find this. I need to scour the internet.
Okay, you go ahead. Also, ZOL123 says, what does you want to Nabil this mean? We have a friend named Nabil who we always have fun with and debate basketball stuff on, and he's more of a cap fiend than us, and let's say Isaiah Jackson, not Walker. I can't rely on chat. You know, sometimes I interact with chat and I think they're talking to me, but they're talking amongst themselves, which is also kind of like a funny, you're doing something for the public, like we're talking about basketball, and then you look at chat and there's 2 people who are just like, no, you're so fucking dumb, man. Listen, they're just having it out with one another.
I hate this time because there will be someone with like 1,000 followers that is reporting something and has like 10,000 likes.
Oh yeah, and some of them, dude, they have AI.
Wow.
Guys now. What?
Clippers are receiving. It says a 2026 first. It doesn't say if it's the Pacers first.
No
Plus,
shot. They trade there first.
It's protected 1 to 4 and 10 to 30. What? No way.
So it only conveys if it's between 5 and 10?
But that's likely.
That is statistically likely.
That's like over 50% shots. No, do they have another first this year?
I should know this. I cover them, but I don't. I don't. This is strange.
For Zubac?
Zubats is good.
But like James Harden's pen is like some of the best, you know? I guess he's
That's
going to play with
true.
Tyrese Halliburton, but wow.
Wow. That's stiff.
That, Lawrence Frank. Wow.
Surely that's not.
Yeah.
They have to have another one.
Yeah,
the 2026 first? Okay.
What? So, and
what the hell?
there has to be some nuance to this. There has to be a swap or something.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
Shun 8733 says Zoo will fit the Pacers amazingly, and also said earlier, y'all don't understand. Yes, the picks sound sexy, but if you have a roster that is damn near ready to compete, a for sure trade can turn you from a pick to a contender. Agreed, but they are a contender. And like, listen, I do think that Zubats is a very strong fit. You know, Caitlin and I have talked about him. If they traded what ends up being like the 5th overall pick, that would be pretty stiff. That would be pretty stiff. But anyway, wow, that's interesting. Yeah,
I guess they're just gonna tank hard, because if they do finish last, I guess statistically it's hard for them to finish. I don't know. I'm pretending like I know draft odds. Crazy.
That is a weird trade.
Yeah.
Well, do you think the Raptors get in on it? I don't think the Raptors get in on anything, man. For the rest of the,
they have one roster spot left, but I think they probably convert Elijah. I think that's what they do with that roster spot. But who knows?
I guess. Well, wait. Oh yeah, Elijah's on a 2-way.
Mm-hmm.
Right, he didn't get the guaranteed. Did you watch his draft video, by the way?
I did.
Oh, he's a mean motherfucker, man.
I like him. He's nasty.
And it's funny because, I told the story on the podcast, but there's more people here now. After he had his big game where he was guarding like Maxey and they won in overtime, he came in after the game and Scotty told this story about how when Elijah was just like at FAU, not even Florida, and they just ended up in the same run, and Scotty was at Florida State. And Scotty is like one of the highest touted prospects. And man alive, like apparently Elijah was talking insane shit to Scotty. Just like a mid-major guy just being like a 6'8" behemoth who's like, I'm one of the best prospects in the world. He's like, you ain't shit, bro. You're in my gym. You're in my world. And then they're playing together.
I like it. The Raptors need to every elite team has a guy that gets a little nasty, gets in people's face. Like the fact that he was a G League guy and got in Tyrese Maxey's face, who's one of the best scorers in the NBA, is absurd. Just to have that level of confidence, or maybe even delusion. But like, it's good to have those energy guys that have a little toughness in between.
So blocked by Bomba, our friend Chuck, aka another name, says the Clippers have Darius Garland plus 2 max salary spots in the summer of 2027. We are in a bygone era. That type of tweet used to be very common.
Mm-hmm.
Like they've opened up a max slot. This team opened up. That doesn't exist anymore. Yeah. No team does that. This is unique. And well, they have to pay Benedict Mathurin, so maybe they won't have a max slot. I don't know, but well, they don't have to pay Benedict Mathurin actually. Like, you go somewhere else, I guess.
Even without Ben, that trade is a success. You just gotta pray the lotto gods fall your way. But
that's a weird one, man.
Yeah, I'm a little shocked.
Weird ass protections. All right, we got 30 minutes left. What do you think about the Chicago game? They're not playing anybody.
Yeah, they're one of the tiniest teams in the NBA now. If Scotty doesn't get 15 rebounds today, we don't want it enough. I would say that's probably the first thing. Could be a good CMB game. Can I get 5 drives in a game? This is the perfect game for this.
Yeah. 9.55 says max slots literally don't matter anymore. Nobody good actually ever hits. I agree with that. Yeah. Donkey 16 says the pick becomes an unprotected 2031 if the Pacers keep this year. They are gamblers, man.
That is a gamble, yeah.
These are like the Pascal trade they made was a pretty safe one. The Tyrese trade, pretty safe one. They were just like, oh yeah, this makes sense. This is risky business, man. This is, I mean, like they'll be good. Tyrese Halliburton's coming back, and it's not even like his game is predicated on significant explosion, although it's important, you know, that he is explosive to some degree in the playoffs. But wow. Kobe Brown going back to the Pacers. All right, Kobe Brown. How much Kobe Brown have you seen in your life?
I'm pretty sure he went to Baylor. I'm gonna say I've seen 35 minutes of Kobe Brown. Did he actually even go to Baylor? Am I a real scout?
I'm gonna look up the Raptors' schedule over the next however many games, and we're gonna talk about that. Okay, so, they play the Pacers on Sunday. I forgot about that.
Well, we know the Pacers aren't going to try to win that game. So good one for the Raptors.
Here's my question though: do you think it's possible that the Pacers are trying to I don't think this is the likely situation, but is it possible that they're trying to win the rest of this year? They're like, we'll bring Zubac in and we'll play with like Siakam, Nembhard, Zubac, Nesmith, like these guys, and try and win some games, some minutes, and like then Halliburton joins and our lottery odds worsen, but we've stipulated against that with these protections. Like, is that a possibility here?
I think Pascal Siakam in a couple of weeks won't play that many games moving forward, and they'll try to lose as many wins as possible, because if they do finish with the worst record in the league, the 5th slot is the worst that they can do, and it's significantly lower. I think that's probably the rationale, but I don't know. This is a lot of risk for Zubac. Crazy.
He's good though.
He is good, and him and Tyrese will function the same way that him and Harden did. And like the Pacers definitely needed some of that role function. Like Miles Turner's shooting, like although like being nice, they can play 5 out. Like shooting bigs don't really get guarded. Teams were just throwing 2 guys at Tyrese, so Zubac will help a lot.
Yeah, and also like the Pacers get blitzed a lot, and actually like shooting does help beat blitzes, but also so does like at rim finishing and size, because like you've pushed out the shell of your defense. You can pass and play make to the rim, so that's of note. Wow. Camden says, should the Raptors buy on Kawhi again? Yeah, dude. Bring him in. What the hell? What the hell? Sure. Would you trade for Kawhi?
Probably not.
I'm not going to bring it up because people will make fun of you, but I remember you had a take from a couple podcasts ago. But yeah, okay.
But the Raptors aren't a move away. They're several moves away. And like Kawhi is a player that you have to insulate because he isn't going to play like 60 games. He's been pretty healthy this year, which is good to see. But I think even the Clippers they've done real nifty work. They've gotten picks. They've collected young stars. They probably will try to flip Kawhi at some point in a year for a similar type value. Because if you can get a similar bet like Garland, where you just similar level in talent and you're just getting someone significantly younger, you can feel a little bit better about the future of the team.
So you got it, bro, says nice hat, Trey. It is a really nice hat. I own the same hat, although it's never reached my hands. I'll say that much.
I will say at the birthday party, our dear friend, he handed out the hats.
I'm sure he did. But you also said he looked old as hell while he did it. I remember that. Also, Garth Levy says, what's the update with Ulrich Shamshay? And then GP Productions says the correct thing. He was referred to the NBA Fitness to Play panel. It's the same thing. I don't know if it's the exact same thing medically wise. but it is out of the Raptors' hands what happens with Ulrich Shamshay. And, Christian Koloko is still in the NBA working his way around. I don't know if Shamshay will return to the Raptors, but he's still in Toronto, I'm pretty sure, as far as like what is Ulrich doing. I'm pretty sure he's still situated here. I don't know if he works out. I don't know what he's allowed to do per the fitness to play, but yeah, it's Shad says still shows at 9:05 practice sometimes per Will Liu yesterday. Oh, okay, cool. Excellent scoop, Will. Kingsley says, hey, Samson, is there still any guy you think we could still get this guy and he would help? I'm going to swing that to you first, Trey. This will be the last time we revisit this before the podcast is over. Is there anybody that can help?
There is not a soul that could help us here. As the bandwagger I am, the Patriots, they say all year, we're all we got, we're all we need. There's no one here to save us. So let's try to win around.
Yeah, I'm not confident in it. But like, here's the thing. We always said that this Raptors team is built to pivot.
Yeah.
And there you go. You got it, bro. Also says, Pacers have Zubac. Do they win the finals last year over Turner? I kind of think so. I think Zubac is better than Turner. I don't think he fits quite as well with what the Pacers wanted to do. But I do think that, yeah, they might win because he would have helped with Hartenstein probably a bit. And Miles was terrible in those finals, man. He was really bad. Yeah. I couldn't believe they won game 3 with how he played. He did have a stop at the end, but like, woof. Yeah. Is there? Do you have a winner of the trade deadline?
The Clippers. The Clippers, they have changed the outlook of their future significantly just with 2 moves. They still will be able to compete and win enough games where you're okay with whatever they give the Clippers or give the Thunder this year, and then they still have a chance at the 5th to 9th pick overall. And ideally, like, the Pacers' culture has never been to tank per se, and they've given them a really good player, and the Pacers have been playing better than the beginning of the season. So there's a chance they drop to maybe the 4th pick. And then the odds are really good that you're getting the pick. And Darius Garland has a chance. Like, he can make the All-NBA team any season that he's healthy with his level of talent, his level of shooting, playmaking across the board. So, like, it's been a home run for them, honestly.
Who do you think is Zubac? Is Zubac better than Prime Pirtle from Alan Jose? What do you think?
Yes. Just simply because he offers a bit more offensively, and Yak is pretty good in the pick and roll, but it requires a certain level of pace, whereas Zubac is much more traditional and offers some low post scoring as well, which is a good wrinkle actually for the Pacers in a playoff series, that he could probably steal you a couple possessions, especially because they like to toss the ball ahead, and he might be able to get mismatches on smalls.
Do you think that Pirtle was his prime with the Raptors?
He didn't look good. Yeah, that's fair. It's tough.
That's what I wonder about, because he's definitely a better offensive player with the Raptors than any other stretch in his career. Like what did he have? 5 years in San Antonio. Ultimately, I think he's probably a better offensive player in his time with Toronto. But his defense, I don't care what the catch-alls say. Okay, I've had enough.
Yeah, it's gotten worse.
His defense is not super good. And I think he's more of an offense-first center at this point in his career. But, I mean, it's split. I think he spent half his prime with the San Antonio, where he was more so like a really, really strong defender. And then I guess he spent like half of it. But probably Zoo last year is a better year than Pirtle has ever had, I would say.
Yeah, for sure.
Zubac was in all NBA talks. What? Was he? Was he in all NBA talks last year? I didn't hear much of that.
Neither did I.
I mean, maybe it was. Ting Son also says, built to pivot, ? How? We are trying to trade, and no one wants our players unless you're thinking of blowing it up as the pivot. The pivot, you don't know you're pivoting until you're pivoting, okay? I don't know how else to sell. I don't know how else to sell this. Zubats was definitely in all NBA talks last year. Swipe a Cam made a case. Is that?
Yeah, you lost me. You lost me there to the end.
I know who Swipe a Cam is. I know him from like I know he does work. I know he does work. And I know I've seen him on Twitter arguing on behalf of different things. But I think this would be like if somebody went into like a Celtics chat and was like, last year Samson Folk said Scotty could have made an all defense team. They'd be like, who? What the hell are you talking about? Yeah. Okay, well, I don't know. Is there anything left for us to talk about, man? It's 2 hours and 40 minutes. I've heard enough of my own voice, I tell you.
No, there really isn't, honestly. But I guess, yeah, even the Bulls matchup isn't that exciting because they don't have any players.
Oh, wow.
Jeez.
What did I have for breakfast? I didn't really eat breakfast. I had like a Fortman wafer, like a vanilla wafer, and I ate leftover Thai food for like 14 minutes before I hopped on here.
Real grinder. I'm a big breakfast person. Every morning I make me a little omelet, cut up some chicken, throw it in for some protein.
You're omelet now?
Yeah.
When did you move on from being an oatmeal boy? You used to be the face of it.
I just have more time, so I a little more self-care. So I just make myself a little omelet, put it on some sourdough. It's like real suburban stuff right there.
Okay, so you know how I said you don't know a pivot. You don't know it's a pivot until it's a pivot. That's why your work-life balance is better. You made a pivot yourself. Now you get to have omelets or whatever. Camden says, am I still climbing rocks? I am, but worse because I ruptured my finger tendon. So worse than before. Are you watching any TV shows or movies? Yeah, you know what? Honestly, there's no this is what we're talking about. Are you watching any TV shows or movies?
Bridgerton, I haven't started yet, which is where my wife's gonna kill me about. What have I been watching of late?
Wait, did you said you had free time? Did you watch Night of the Seven Kingdoms?
I watched the first episode. I was a little underwhelmed, but I've been told the second episode is much better.
So the show, I'm here to tell you,
yes,
it is gonna ramp up, dude. It's gonna be gas.
All right.
At least for me.
Yeah.
And if you ever want to borrow the book, this is so the first season is the first novella. There's 3 novellas here. Mm-hmm. And I know, well, I'll give a fun little lore Easter egg to listeners. We have a very close-knit group of friends, and some people in this group of friends seem to think that Trey can't read.
Joe, why would you say that?
Even though he reads all the time. So,
yeah.
Anyway.
It was crazy because like Game of Thrones, they're known for like opening the series with like a huge plot changing event, either the beginning or the end of the episode, and it just was like a normal regular opening episode, which I guess I was expecting it to follow the same formula across the board.
It's it has the nice whistling in the back.
Yeah. Which is cool. Wait, have you tried Industry yet?
I've not tried Industry yet. I know I'm supposed to get into it at some point, but like here's the thing. Industry is you didn't like it. You didn't like Succession as much. Yes. But I really like Succession, and I'm worried that those shows are like the inverse. And if I go for Industry, that I won't like it as much. Like we'll be coming from it. This Industry and Succession are the Colin Murray Boyles and Derek Queen. I'm worried.
See, like Industry, like obviously has like all this like business latent stuff that's in it, but it's not as like consequential to the plot like Succession is, where they're like, this merger could change everything. And I'm like, oh brother.
Sutherland FX says Nick Richards to Chicago. Nobody can believe it. Can I say something really funny? I was watching the Raptors pregame show with Sam Mitchell and Leo Routens and Kate Burness, and Sam Sam Mitchell was like, it's too late. They can't trade for a big guy. It's too late. And then I think this is my perception of the events.
Yeah.
Watching Sam like hold his tongue because Leo was like, you could still trade for a big guy, just get a big guy in here. And he was like, who are you gonna trade for? And he was like, Nick Richards. You could, and Sam, it looked like he wanted to be like, he can't play. What do you, Nick Richards, really? And he just kind of was like, and we had to listen to Leo be like, Nick Richards, he can play a little bit. I don't think he can play, man.
He's gonna be an Olympian, man.
Oh, I knew that.
He's gonna be a medalist. He's gonna be a medalist. I promise you that. It doesn't look like the Thompson twins are making Team USA. Well,
Probably
2 years
not.
is a lot. 2 years is a lot of time, obviously, but we're gonna be stout.
You guys will have Asar at the very least.
Yeah, for sure.
It would be, man. It's on the one hand, I think. Imagine on that smaller court trying to drive by him.
Yeah, it'd be a tear.
But also imagine like some of the spacing concerns. Anyway, Kingsley says, and this will be a good question to kind of like lead us towards the end. For an early summer transition, what trades would you do? I know it's early, but give me what a successful summer would look like. I'm going to let you go first.
Oh, so we all know that the Charlotte Hornets traded for Kobe White, who is played for UNC, local kid. He's obviously a free agent. They're going to have to pay him. And the idea of paying both him and keeping LaMelo Ball on the roster doesn't seem tenable to me, at least. I would go all out to get LaMelo Ball. I understand there's industry concerns. There's injury concerns. See how good the show is? Yeah. There's injury concerns. But you would put yourself in a situation where you have one of the most elite offensive conductors in the NBA. Whenever he's on the court for the Hornets, they're one of the best offenses in the league. I know they have tons of shooting. That's because he can drive, get downhill, hit heads, get to open guys. His driving's improved greatly. He helps all the bigs around them. And having that with Scotty, ideally with better shooting, would tremendously change the shape of their overall offense. So, like, if you were to trade RJ, dump Pirtle somewhere else, I'd be willing to trade 2 firsts to get that done, just about how much it would impact Scotty and the offense.
So, Liam Bennell asks, do you like bouldering or rope climbing? I like both. Camden McMillan says, dude, Kevin Pritchard tweeted that the draft lottery is going to be wild. He said, yes, it is, in response to Caitlin. I asked Caitlin I texted her about the Zubac tweet. She just sent me that Kevin Pritchard tweet. And I got to follow him back on Twitter at some point,
What a flex. What a flex.
LaMelo, I would be overjoyed if LaMelo joined the Raptors. Like, overjoyed. I think he would fit so well, particularly with Scotty Barnes. I think that he has the ability to really transform an offense. But Shad has it here. Why would the Hornets give up LaMelo after having one of the best 5-man lineups in the NBA? Well, one, LaMelo was good when they decided to start entertaining it and like move him to the bench, and Charles Lee is like, not on my watch, brother. I guess we'll have new leading scorers this year. All this kind of stuff. I would love if LaMelo joined the Raptors. I think I do not, as much as like he ran over a kid's foot with his car, and I don't like that. Like as much as I don't like that, I think there's a little bit of like unseriousness to how he plays basketball, yes, but that unseriousness is part of like what makes him so interesting, is that like he kind of breaks conventions of how he plays basketball, and it makes him really unique. It makes him guide good offense. It makes him play really forward-thinking basketball, and I think LaMelo would be great on the Raptors, and he's big. He's big.
Yeah. It would change a lot. Like, Quickly's still on the team. It would allow him to be the 2 guard that he is. And like, I've seen LaMelo play and make Devontae Graham look like a great NBA player, because he could hit open shots and move off of the openings that LaMelo created. And like, Scotty's Scotty goes from a guy that probably struggles to get 20 that probably averages like 21 or 22 because like the 3 dunks Musa Diabate gets because LaMelo created in the lane are going to a guy significantly better. So I would take the risk personally.
Wait, where was the report that the Raptors were thinking of attaching a second to get off Jonathan Mobo? I saw that somewhere, right?
I haven't seen that at all.
Oh, maybe
That
someone.
is so sad.
I thought, well, I guess obviously they decided to spend their seconds elsewhere. 7'1" wingspan on LaMelo. Is that for real? His arms are that long?
Makes sense. He's what, 6? Is he
He's
6'8"?
6'8"? Yeah, I think he's 6'8". He could play front court on this team.
Exactly. Grady Dick, the shots you get, he'd probably be in that trade.
That's what I was gonna say. Kareem Thomas was like, imagine a Ball and Dick lineup, brother. As much as this podcast was like, this is the podcast that was like, Grady, we believe in him. We're past the point of puns, brother. Make a damn jumper. Like, it's just got to go in the hole. Although he did have 6 points on 100% shooting last game. The true shooting percentage was going up.
Yes.
Oh.
Cool finish in the lane, I guess. That was fun.
Wasn't even in the lane. Baseline drive.
Oh, you're right, it was.
Oh, Grady. Oh, Lord. I don't know. I guess, like, we'll see. I guess, the Pacers did make an insane bet on the lottery.
That is crazy. I wonder if I could find the lotto odds of what the stipulations would be. Let's see.
Wait. Can I ask you something? Wait, keep looking, and I'm going to set the scene. There's a point guard in the summer, another one.
Okay.
Ja Morant is expected to stay with the Grizzlies past the trade deadline because nobody wants him, per Windhorst ESPN.
Jesus.
Okay. Do you want Ja Morant if it's truly like the only thing, like, if the Grizzlies are not concerned about what's coming back, really, they're mostly concerned about getting the money off the books. Are you at all interested in taking a swing or a pass at that?
If you told me 2 weeks ago, maybe I'd be a bit more optimistic on shooting around the team, but like, no. Although like Ja has been the last few games, he was actually pretty good until he got hurt. He would be navigating through so much traffic. Like, the Grizzlies have shooters. Like, our dear friend was right about Mr. Spencer. He can shoot the hell out of the ball. A pull-up tray prospect we love, Cedric Howard, is great. It allows him to operate a bit better because I don't think his first step is to the level anymore where you can't hold him from getting into the paint and getting paint touches. You think you need good offensive structure around him, and he doesn't fit that. The Raptors don't fit that currently.
So there was a Republican. I can't remember if it's a member of the House.
I got the odds too. Whenever you're ready.
Okay, I just have to make this joke first. So there's a Republican, politician was making the case, and this will not be a kind joke to Ja Morant. I'm sorry, I'm retreading bad things, but was making the case that since the Utah Jazz arena was publicly funded, that people should be able to open carry in the arena. So maybe they traded for the wrong Grizzly.
Oh, man. If you had told me that team would blow up when they make the Western Conference Final, 2022, I believe, that
were they in the Western Conference Finals?
No,
Surely it was the second round.
They were the second seed. They didn't even make it that far. They went to the second round.
They lost to LeBron.
Yeah,
they lost to LeBron, and then they said Dylan Brooks is going to China.
Yeah, as soon as Dylan left the team cratered. It was brutal. For the Zubac trade, it's 52-48 odds in favor of the Pacers keeping the pick, right?
52-48?
Yeah. It's so dicey.
Right down the middle. Oh.
And they could win games now that they have him too. So
I just imagine like them sitting in the room like, you guys feeling lucky? You know what I mean? That
Wow.
is a crazy thing. That's a crazy decision. It's very like we can speak from a little bit of experience, I suppose, because we were waiting on it. We were like, it was the 2023 draft. Yeah, the 2023
Mhm.
draft. Josh came over to my place, and it was like, okay, where's this pick gonna go? It could be Wemby, it could be protections, whatever. And it was traded for Jakob Poeltl, and Josh and I are sitting there waiting on all the news, and then the Raptors just lose the pick, and Josh and I are like, well, we have nothing to talk about. Damn. And then we talked about Jonathan Mobile for a little bit, who has not had an easy time making his way into the NBA.
No.
Oh Lord,
It's been tough. CMB looks like it's going to be a Troy win, but
Yeah.
we've had a tough go.
well,
Pick so far.
Jacoby, we had the same way because we like to contrive disagreements. The same way we disagreed on CMB and Queen, we did a Jacoby versus Jalen Tyson thing.
Yeah.
I was Jalen, you were Jacoby, and they were picked 19 and 20. Jalen has hit earlier, although on an easier team to hit on, probably. Jacoby he's about as good as a 19th pick is supposed to be so far. We like Tristan da Silva as well, but I don't know. Yeah, we don't have Grady. It would have been nice to not for our sake, for the Raptors' sake, because when he scores 10 points, suddenly they're a world beater team, and when he doesn't, they just lose every game, I guess. But Hip Hop Jesus says, "Is CMB a ... home run?" This is the person who was making fun of me earlier for saying that Scotty wasn't a home run or his contract. It's a good contract.
Yeah.
CMB is not a home run yet. Home runs are special, man.
Yeah. It's like you have a few of these like once every like 5 to 10 years, like Pascal Siakam, Fred VanVleet acquisitions, home run. You'll probably like generationally probably won't see that again. Both guys ended up
OG
being
as well.
Yeah, OG is. That's why we're spoiled. That 4 or 5 years of just nailing it over and over again. But
DeJuan Hernandez was a sign of things to come.
Yeah, man. There was a point where like anything the Raptors did, I'm like, you gotta trust the decision making. They have too much pedigree of getting things right, and we're not there anymore.
That run of drafting, like DeLon Wright was the 20th overall pick, I believe. DeLon Wright gets picked 20th overall. He gave you about 20th overall. He's a good pick. And especially he was very intriguing earlier on in his career. Good pick. And we're looking at this damn guy, and he's the worst of it all. And you have, not only do you trade Gary Forbes and Steven Adams, it becomes for Kyle Lowry, but you keep DeMar and turn him into Kawhi and Danny Green and Jakob. You trade Andrea Bargnani for what becomes Jakob Poeltl. You trade Grievous Vasquez for Norman Powell and OG Anunoby.
Crazy.
You draft Pascal Siakam at 27 instead of Scala Bissier, who everybody wanted. And you just pick up Fred VanVleet after the draft party. You call him up and say, "Are you ready to grind, brother?" And then it all just comes out. And then you draft Malachi Flynn, DeJuan Hernandez, Jalen Harris. You sign... Oh, bro. DeAndre Bembry.
Oh, look at him make swing passes. Look, just a connector on the floor.
Look at that putback. Wow.
He loves to muck up the game. Oh man.
It's yeah. Hip Hop Jesus says, "I don't know, man. A not top 5 pick coming in, sticking in the lineup, and being a contributor is just a second. Y'all are stingy." No, Scotty, like, as a draft pick, is a home run. We were saying his contract. Scotty isn't like the Jokic level, the MVP level, where it makes a mockery of the max contract. That's what we're saying. Obviously, picking Scotty at 4 is a huge win.
Yeah.
Like, you could make the case in some sense, liking Franz better in a little bit. I wouldn't ever, but some people might make the case for Alperen Sengun, but I wouldn't.
Hey, man.
It's 3 p.m. Did we make it? Did anything else happen?
Not a thing.
All right, give me your win prediction for the rest of the... What do they finish at?
47. I've stuck there from day one. They win 47 games, and whoever they face. So is it weird that I feel a little better playing the Celtics than the Cavs if this seeding was supposed to stick?
If Baker's listening, the Celtics are so fake, dude. Oh, wow. Like, everything about the Celtics is fake. Although, running into Nikola Vucevic again would give me, like, if Emmanuel Quickley was flattening out in isolations, I'd be like, Fred, no, Fred, no. Oh, man. Yeah. I think, personally, that James Harden, offensively, is pretty well equipped now to make it work in the playoffs. He has a lot more counters he's comfortable going to. The Cavs are not going to be an easy out, I don't think. Although Jalen Tyson as like your wing guy is
tough.
Yeah. Shad says I'd rather play against Vooch than Kata. Kata is good.
Yeah, he's killed us both games.
Nimish Kata is good. Like real deal, big bastard, give you problems, good. Set screens, roll, punish the glass, be big as hell. Yeah. Yeah. Pressure on the Cavs and Knicks. Agreed. Trey, anything you want to say before we get out of here?
This will be the last time I guess we pod until the Patriots are Super Bowl champions. If you are a Buffalo Bill fan, I hope you watch this game in misery because we have Buffalo Bills fans in our group of friends. The amount of pain they put me through post Tom Brady. I'm ready to dish it out. Just one more win.
You know those church hats? Like that the guy at the top of it. This kind of looks like it.
It
Don't
does.
you think? There's some Seahawks fans in the chat.
What? No one predicted us to get this far, man. It really doesn't matter. The Patriots, they won a division. They said they won't do anything in the playoffs. They won't be Justin Herbert. They won't be the Texans. They won't be Denver. And they're here, so it doesn't matter, man. They're gonna shock the world again.
All we got is us, right? That's the same.
Yeah. We all. Oh, Jesus. That's how long we've been potting. What is it again? We all we are, we all we got.
Yeah. We all we are, we all we got. Yeah. All right. There's a lot of trash talk being thrown your way in the chat right now. There's no Patriots believers, although I get it because of the residue of Tom Brady. You know what I mean?
It's just like they hit on like Drake May, even if he hasn't played the greatest in the playoffs, has had, for his age, he's probably had one of the 2 best seasons in NFL history, which is insane.
Are you gassing or are you being truthful?
I'm being truthful. So there's a stat in the NFL called EPA, which is the equivalent of points per possession.
That's almost EPM, bro. You're going to catch all me.
Yeah. It's the equivalent of points per possession. Drake May was number 1 with qualified players. He almost won MVP this season.
He's Nikola Jokic?
He might. I'll give him Luka Doncic. He's young. He's gotten further than people thought he would be. He's gas, man.
Okay. Because as you well know, you and I will debate many things, but the things that I do not debate, the NFL is one of those things. You tell me something, I'm like, okay, I guess that's what I believe now. And you've convinced me of the Pats as righteous winners this year, despite me hating Tom Brady for basically my whole life.
I'm out after what Tom Brady this year. I'm out on him. He was asked, who do you think's gonna win? And he's like, it doesn't matter. I don't got a dog in the fight. I'm out.
Also, Bill Belichick wasn't first. That's as somebody from the outside, that makes no sense. I understand the end of his career is pretty like, hey, what the hell is going on here?
Yeah,
like he the end of his career seems like a Google Play card scam. Like someone's on the phone is like, we have your daughter kidnapped. You need to give us $400 worth of Google Play cards right now. And he's like, okay, I'll go to the grocery store and get them. You know what I mean?
It's terrible. But like, it seems like he was getting punished for. Have you heard of what Spygate is?
Yeah. Wait, that's
okay.
That was when they were spying on the other teams, right?
Yes, they're spying and it's the same thing as the Houston Astros. They were stealing signs, and he got suspended for it. But like, they won for like 19 more years after that. Like the Houston Astros, they won another World Series after. Like you kind of have to be good.
Wait, and Deflategate is something different as well, right?
Yeah, it was like
Deflated the ball so they're flatter.
Yeah, so it's easier to catch. And then in the second half of the game, they gave him back the regular balls. They ended up scoring more points with the inflated ball. Just nonsense.
That was kind of like the Astros thing, right? Like in the playoffs, they ended up just like banging a million home runs when they were playing away games. It was like, well, like you shake your fist at it, but he probably should still be in the Hall of Fame. Anyway, that's enough. We did it. You stayed for 2 hours. I thank you. I don't know where this would have gone if you weren't here, brother. I was quoting marks within 58 minutes. Where would this have gone? I'm wearing a Pope hat. Who knows? Yeah, you said 47 wins. I'll say 45. I'll say 45 wins, sure.
I'll take 45.
If Yock comes back and is healthy, though, maybe we're cooking with gas. Chris Boucher just got waived. Oh. That might be the end.
Yeah. I didn't think it would be this bad post Raptors, to be honest. I thought he'd be impactful. But
I warned of this when I was talking to the Celtics people. I was like, listen, sometimes he does not play to scheme. Joe Mazzulla might be a guy who that does not fly with. And as it turned out, that really didn't fly with Joe. Yeah, okay. All right. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. I probably should have asked people to like it when there was like 500 people in here. Now there's 170. Yeah. You'd make sure to like it. Anyway, yeah, thanks. 3 hours. This isn't getting uploaded as a podcast. It's nonsense. This is just, we're streamers today, live streamers. Yeah. All right. The Nets waived Cam Thomas.
Please, Bobby, please. 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 Take a shot.
This is one of the greatest indications of like points per game. Don't set your watch to it, man. Do not set your watch to points per game. Damn. Cam Thomas, dude. Cam Thomas.
That's crazy.
So he got released. You know what? Keontae Grady isn't over yet. A guard who averaged 24 points per game. Mind you, listen, 3.8 assists. Not a lot for a guy scoring 20. Anyway, it's a joke. Nobody kill me. Anyway, Bobby's presser's coming up soon. Thank you from myself and Trey. Thanks to Coors Light for co-signing everything we say and presenting the podcast. Ha 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 ha. Little joke there for everybody. Okay. Whether you got into this in the morning or at night or during the live stream, have a blessed day and goodbye.